Control Board of the City of Jersey City held Monday, October 17, 2022 at 5 p.m. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Act, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by mail and or fax to the Jersey Journal and the Reporter. Roll call, please.
Chairperson Bunny.
Here.
Vice Chair Kaplowitz. Here. Commissioner Sally Perkins.
Here.
Commissioner Sloan.
Here.
Commissioner Flanagan.
Here.
Make sure everybody shuts their phone off.
Absolutely. All right. If you could be so kind as to either shut your cell phones off or put it on silent or vibrate, we'd appreciate that very much. We're going to read the announcement.
Yeah. The CCB and its duties. The Cannabis Control Board was created by the Jersey City Municipal Council. The CCB is a result of the council adopting an ordinance. We are not the planning board or the zoning board. Those boards were created by state legislation. The Jersey City Planning Board or the Zoning Board will hear your application as to zoning and land use development issues. According to Jersey City Ordinance 22-003, the CCB will consider the following factors in its determination to approve or deny your application. 1. Community impact and outreach input. 2. The number of cannabis establishments within close proximity, or less than 1,000 feet to the applicant. Just because a cannabis establishment is less than 1,000 feet from your application is not necessarily a negative factor. Each application must be evaluated on the totality of factors and the surrounding neighborhood. 3, hiring practices employed by the applicant. 4, residency of all applicants and owners. 5, applicants' commitment to diversity and inclusion best practices. And 6, safety and security plans. If the board approves the application, the board will issue a preliminary resolution of support. Once the applicant obtains state approval, the applicant must return to the CCB for final approval. The CCB shall provide final written approval or rejection within 60 days. An applicant could obtain preliminary approval from the CCB, obtain state approval, but be denied final approval by this board. According to Ordinance 21-053, the CCB will ensure compliance with local rules and regulations governing cannabis. The City of Jersey City encourages and promotes participation of minorities, women, and disabled veteran-owned cannabis businesses, and by extension, so shall the CCB. The CCB shall require a Class 5 cannabis retail business applicant to address concerns about the proximity of a proposed location to a substance abuse treatment center or a daycare center.
All right.
Before we get started, a couple of things. I just want to remind everybody, we have asked that all documents be submitted 1 week prior to our meeting to be included in the application. So if you submit something last minute, it is not necessarily getting reviewed by this board. So we're asking for a week. The last thing I want to remind people is we are not allowed to discuss applications outside of this room. So do not have your friends text us. Do not have people text us asking for favors, because that's not okay and it's totally unacceptable. And we do not discuss applications outside of this room. So with that, go ahead, Ron.
Thank you, Chair. All right. First application to be heard is CCB 22-26, Legacy to Lifted LLC. Please make yourself comfortable, and once council gets situated, you can enter your appearance into the record. And if you need to pull up another chair, so I'm sure you can be accommodated.
You can also move that dais back.
There you go.
If it's green,
Green
it's
button.
on.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
Mr. Weiss, please enter your appearance into the record.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners, Attorney Mondello, members of the public. My name is Mickey Weiss. I'm a partner at Cleary, Giacobbe, Alfieri, and Jacobs. I'm here tonight on behalf of 2 applicants. The first applicant is Legacy to Lifted. Legacy to Lifted is seeking support to make its Class 5 retail application to the state of New Jersey. The location is proposed to be located at 490 West Side Avenue, which is in Ward B. The space is approximately 1,500 square feet. Importantly, the sole owner of this applicant is a social equity applicant who has a prior conviction for marijuana. He is born and raised in Jersey City. We have 3 other members here with us from Legacy to Lifted. Everybody who's here who will present testimony is from Jersey City. The people who you hear speak tonight will actually be the ones who work in the store if they are given support. So this is unlike some other applicants that you get to see. The people here who are presenting the testimony will be the ones who work there when they actually show up. The sole owner, who is sitting on my left, is Christopher Broderick, like I said, a Jersey City native. We also have Edward Broderick here, who's going to be the Director of Operations, also a Jersey City native. Christian Flores is going to be the General Manager, also Jersey City native. Felix Aviles, Director of Security, also Jersey City native. This group has hired a number of consultants to make sure that they remain compliant with everything, regulations, CRC, Jersey City regulations. Prohibition Solutions is the operations consultant. Cannabis IT is the security consultant. Green Harvest HR is human resources and staffing. My experts, the applicant's experts, unfortunately cannot be here tonight. They were supposed to be. 2 have COVID, and one has car problems. And so one of the guys with the fever said he would come. I told him to stay home. So,
Smart move.
so we have the
Thank
applicants
you.
here who should be able to answer all of the questions that this board may have. And if there's a technical issue that we have to address, it should be in the complete application that we submitted to the CCB. Also of note, the applicant has filed their conditional use application with the planning board, hasn't been heard yet, and we've also filed a conditional application with the state of New Jersey. With that being said, I'd like to swear in my first witness.
All right, well, thank you for that, Mr. Weiss. Appreciate that. It's nice to see you again. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
And turn your mic on.
Green button on.
Christopher Broderick, Broderick. I live at 51 Lake Street, Jersey City, New Jersey.
Welcome, Mr. Broderick. Your witness, Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mondello. Mr. Broderick, what do you currently do?
I manage and own a trucking company out of Jersey City.
Hold on. Before we even get started, I'm not discussing the other application, but are you somehow connected to Lifted Vision as well?
No,
You're not?
no,
In no way?
no way.
Okay, because we had an application last time, which I'm sure all of you have read about, where you had the same attorney and very similar applications.
Yep.
And the same thing is happening, in my opinion, with Legacy to Lifted and Lifted Vision.
I am the attorney.
And I'm also, if we find out you are related and you're lying right now, I'm not suggesting you are, but if you are, that's going to be a problem for final approval. So if they are connected in any way,
No, I'm not. I'm not related to no one.
and you're not involved in the business.
No.
Okay.
Counselor, under oath, you're an officer of the court. And since you represent both clients, do you want to give the board assurance that neither one is any way, shape, or form related?
Yeah, the operations are completely different. The owners of record are different. This is Mr. Broderick. He's the sole owner of Legacy to Lifted. We have 3 owners.
I understand that the owners can be different, but if there's some sort of, if there is any if the 2 of these businesses are connected in any way, the board is asking that question right now.
And no, they're not. And even all the employees are different too. And that's why we brought them here
Well,
to give
2
testimony.
different businesses would have 2 different sets of employees. That's not what I'm asking. If they are connected,
I
the
don't know
board is
what
asking that
connect-
question now.
No, there's no connection between the 2. The funding sources are different. The leases are different. The landlords are different. The members are different. I think the only thing that is similar is that they each have Lifted in their names. And so other than that, they
And
are
the same
completely and
attorney.
totally
And-
separate
okay.
entities.
And you're the attorney for both?
I am the attorney.
Right.
Yes.
And under, professional code of ethics, attorney, you're stating to us that there's no collusion or sharing of profits or in any shape, form, any.
I have no knowledge of that whatsoever. And I would ask my client to give that
I own
answer.
solely Legacy to Lifted is my company solely, and I'm 100% only responsible for Legacy to Lifted. It's my creation, is my company, and
Okay.
I have nothing to do with no other applications.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Your witness, Mr. Weiss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you explain what your current responsibilities are at your trucking company?
Yeah, basically I run the whole business by myself with just a little bit of help from a filer, but every day I have to find loads, book loads, call my driver up, arrange him to pick it up, and be on top of him, watch him through the steps, making sure that the loads get there, and then they get on time, and everything like that to that extent. And then there's a lot of other back stuff, like you got to collect the trucking money. It's a very hard part of it. The trucking business is extremely hard sometimes collecting money. A lot of companies like to hold it. Besides that, also I deal with the filing of the taxes. I deal with dealing with the brokers every day. So it's like I have at least 5 to 7 brokers I deal with, and I have to figure out which one I'm going to deal with more, and scheduling, timing. I work from the piers mostly, the port.
And so what has made you want to enter the cannabis space here in Jersey City?
Well, first of all, I've been affected by the cannabis war severely due to my love for the plant. I grew up in Jersey City, born and raised. My family's from here. My grandfather's from here. Everyone's that I know is from Jersey City. I really don't have a life outside of Jersey City, so it's like, as a youngster, I found the plant, and I fell in love with it right away, and that euphoria kind of went away after all the trouble. Also, I realized it was because of the war on the plant. But besides that,
So, Mr. Weiss, we need not get into Mr. Broderick's record, but you're certain that there are no disqualifying convictions in this record?
yeah, I was told by multiple lawyers that I should be able to do it. I was very thinking they wasn't gonna let me do it. I'm always just I guess I think negative because dealing with the plan has always been negative, I guess. But
I'm not
I
talking
talked to,
about the
Michael
cannabis.
Hoffman. He said I shouldn't have a problem. What Mickey told me, I shouldn't have no problem, and I still sometimes feel like they're gonna pull it from me and say no, you can't do this. But
So
I'm just hoping I could get through.
Mr. Weiss, do you have an opinion with respect to whether or not any of the convictions would disqualify Mr. Broderick from getting a state license? I'm guessing even if it was a disqualifier, perhaps he can show rehabilitation?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't believe there's anything there that's disqualifying. He's never tried to market drugs to minors. He hasn't been convicted of a trafficking offense. To the extent there's anything that the CRC finds problematic, we would request that we be able to go before them and show that he's been rehabilitated.
Yeah, I'm actually getting my record expunged at the moment too. We're working on that right now, but haven't got the final results yet.
Thank you for that. I'm
And-
sorry for the interruption.
No, please. What is your role with Legacy to Lifted?
Well, pretty much just like the trucking company, I'm going to be dealing with watching over all the employees, dealing with the day-to-day. I'm going to be helping train my staff to the best of my ability to show them how to run the day-to-day. So if I'm not there, the business can run smooth. I'll be doing scheduling. I'll be doing community outreach. I'll be pretty much this is what I've been wanting to do. I love cannabis.
So are you going to give up your day-to-day role at the trucking company in order to focus exclusively on the Legacy to Lifted operation?
I'm definitely going to be giving up way less hours, and I'm not 100%, because I have people that depend on me. So, but definitely I'm going to be doing way less hours because I'm going to be focused on my dream right here is cannabis.
And are you going to be at the store on a day-to-day basis?
Yes.
Are you going to be opening?
Yes.
Are you going to be closing?
Yes.
So it's 24/7 contact.
Yes. You can call me. Anyone.
Yes, he's going to be the 24/7 contact as the sole owner of the business. Now, you mentioned you're going to be doing scheduling. Are you also going to be doing hiring?
Yeah. For the most part, I'm going to be doing all the hiring. I have a lot of people that's already been hearing about me doing this, and then already reaching out trying to find jobs. But besides that, I'm going to have another company that's going to be helping us, Green Harvest, and then just in case that one too, we need more. We're going to also make an arrangement with a local business, a local company called Scores. I'm sure you guys heard of it already because I know you guys heard of it, but I watched the meetings.
And do you have an agreement with Scores already to hire from their reentry program?
Yes.
And we have submitted that to this board. We did submit it on the 13th, so it was within the week, but it is executed by Scores and also the applicant. Other than using Scores and Green Harvest HR, currently, how many employees do you have?
4.
Okay, and are they all from Jersey City?
Yes.
And are the people that you're speaking to also from Jersey City?
Yeah, almost everyone I'll be hiring is going to be from Jersey City. It's almost 100%.
And with respect to other social justice initiatives, you mentioned expungement earlier. Do you have an agreement with a company to provide expungement services?
Yes, I signed an agreement with the same guy that's doing my expungement, Michael Hoffman. Cool guy, great guy. He'll tell you if he was here that I think you already know. I'm always trying to drag all my friends to get their expungement because we all been affected by it one way or another. Even if it's not on your record, but you've been affected by the cannabis war. So, yeah, I'll be definitely using Michael Hoffman and trying to put the word out and get as many people as we can expunged.
Other than working with Scores and now putting on an expungement clinic, what else have you done to give back to the community?
Well, one of the things that as soon as we heard about this, like you gotta help out and do more, and I was like, and I thought of ways that would affect me. So my nephew's in a karate class, and I overheard from his mother that there's a lot of kids that can't afford the summer class karate because it's a lot more extra and karate is expensive. So I decided I was going to create like a fund every year to help a certain amount of kids go to karate camp. And I already did it one year this year, and I plan on doing it every year if I can.
Is that $100, $10,000?
2,200, I believe it was exactly. And
Is that for 1 year?
That was just for like I believe it was 2 to 4 week class in the summer. It's like a summer camp.
Thank you.
And how many children were there? From that amount, how many?
It was 6
children?
kids, I believe. They actually signed. It was real cool. They gave us like a signed letter of thanking me and everything. So it was like beautiful. I'm so happy I can even do that. Reach out back to the community. Like we also done other little stuff. Like I've done for the summer because we was gonna do something with the Boys and Girls Club. So we wound up buying a whole bunch of sports balls because when I was younger I played sports and it affected me, helped me a lot. So we bought like $1,000 in basketballs, footballs, and stuff, and I wound up handing them out to the community in First Street Park, Washington Park, and in Lincoln Park, Jersey City, just cause I felt like giving back. It's just why not, and it's.
And importantly, you did that before you had any aspirations to file a cannabis application, correct?
Yes.
So, now we've talked about some of your social justice initiatives, your community hiring, your give back to the community. I just want to touch a tiny bit on security, just so you understand that he has a security plan.
Very careful. Don't too much.
Not too much. Are you going to have security guards?
Yes. We plan on doing unarmed at first because I just feel like if we're going to represent the community, we shouldn't be having armed guards sitting in front of the spot. I would like to just use regular guards without armed, and then if needed later on, maybe if we're getting threats or something, upgrade. So.
And you're going to have proper ID checks?
Yeah, we'll definitely be at least checking twice every time entry, and then on cash out, we'll do an ID check.
Now transitioning, have you reached out to the local councilman as part of your ward?
Councilwoman, yeah, I reached out already twice. Unfortunately, we haven't made a equity time to meet up. We was postponed both of the meetings, but I have another meeting coming up in next week with her, and I reached out to another local leader. I only got his first name basis though, so he is the one that's also gonna. He told me I should really help out if there's any more room for me to donate to Women Rising, and I sent them an email. I haven't gotten none back, but I was also thinking about using that company too.
And is the meeting with the councilwoman on October 19th? Do you have a meeting with the councilwoman from Ward 2 or Ward B on October 19th?
Yes.
I think for this witness, that does it from my questioning.
Thank you. Board members?
So just curious, who is that council person?
Rico?
Sorry?
I got his first name. Like Chico.
Who's the woman? The council.
Councilwoman.
Oh, no, he's saying he met with Chico Ramchal, the former councilman for Ward B.
Yeah, I talked to him. I didn't meet with him yet.
Who's the councilwoman?
And who is the?
Miria, I don't know. how
Mira
to pronounce-
Prinzeri is the
Prinzeri,
councilwoman
yeah.
for Ward B.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members? Hearing none, seeing none. Any questions from members of the public on Mr. Broderick's testimony, and testimony only, and questions only? All right.
I have a question.
Yeah, I think you asked too fast. I think Glenda and Stacy both had
Oh,
questions.
oh, go ahead.
You know, I see here that you have you've donated money to Scores, so I'm quite sure they will help you. But do you have any other reentry facilities or centers that you're working with? You're an ex-offender. You should know about quite a few reentry programs in Jersey, since you live in Jersey City.
I don't know too many more because it was a while ago when I was, but.
But you live in Jersey
To
City.
be honest, there's not too many other reentry programs I did actually hit because I'm gonna have to be honest, a lot of my friends are gonna be working for me because I have I'm 35. You know, I'm a very social
Are they all
guy.
ex-offenders? All your friends are ex-offenders?
That
that you're gonna be that's gonna be working
A
with
lot
you?
of them have cannabis charges. Yes,
Okay.
100%. Yes, a lot of us. I come from a social group of cannabis smokers, and we all just grew up together in the shadows, hiding, just friendly stoners that want to just now come to the light.
Do you have any friends from over there in Lafayette or Bergen Lafayette? Do you
Yeah, I
have
got
any
friends through the
there?
whole Jersey City.
Oh, okay.
Lafayette, you said?
Yeah, Lafayette. You know where Lafayette is? Like Martin Luther
Yeah.
King Drive, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Greenville.
I have
You
friends
know, all those
a little bit
areas.
all over.
Have you spoken to any of them? Have you going to give any of them, like, you know, an opportunity?
Yeah, well, I'm hiring 2 people that are directly neighbors in within my store, and both of them been affected. My main manager, Christian, actually has been fired because of cannabis use before from a job, and he has multiple cannabis charges too that he got expunged. Also with Michael Hoffman, pretty much my whole staff's been harassed their whole life for cannabis, and we just, you know, we're just happy that it's time for change. And
So how many employees are you hiring total?
well, we're gonna have at least 10, and then we're gonna go and see if we're gonna need more.
Okay, so I think the concern is that well, hiring your friends is not necessarily helping maybe it is helping the community, I don't know, but I don't know that that's what this board
I would
wants to
definitely
hear
say it's
is
helping the
that
community because
that
let's
you're
start
coming
cutting
up
you
here
off.
and saying I'm going to hire my friends.
Yeah.
From Jersey City who've been arrested for prior cannabis offenses who are sitting here right now, like, yes, it's helping the community.
Yeah, my brother, actually, he's been working for the same deadbeat company for like his last 10, 15 years of his life where he doesn't get raises. They don't want to give him raises. He works in hardware, like pretty much doing construction, breaking his back. And I'm going to put him in an opportunity where he can actually be able to provide for his family and hopefully flourish.
Well, I'm also confused because you're saying you've already hired these people, so you're already paying them?
No, like they're going to be hired.
Okay, so they are conditionally hired. They're not currently working for
No.
you.
What's the
Okay.
salary range?
$20 an hour starting, and then managers 25.
So I just wanted to ask some questions about Women Rising, and I just want to better understand how that aligns with your social impact or like the vision that we have related to what we are really interested from a social impact space. So people that are formally impacted, people in reentry, keeping kids off, going towards, the better use of addiction space. And so I'm just trying to understand where Women Rising might fit in with your vision.
To be honest, I'll tell you, the guy, he told me about it, and when I read up about it and heard about it, it kind of reminded me of my mother because she really never, rose up. She felt from alcoholism, so at a young age, when I used actually cannabis, in the beginning, it helped me cope with her losing her, but just with the words "women rising" kind of like felt something to me. Like, hey, I can help some women rise. Like, why not? Because I seen my mother not rise to an occasion, but it happens.
So forgive me for these questions. Your race, nationality, ethnic group?
I'm Irish American.
Thank you.
Do you guys have any other questions?
So can you talk more about, because I think that's where everyone's sort of going, sort of your social impact and your,
My social impact.
like, yeah, from your company. What is it? I get you
We
paid.
plan on doing like just the social impact part, or just the community impact.
Well, the social, the community impact. You've talked about giving money, and that's
Yeah.
nice. I'm not saying that isn't,
Well,
but
part
but
of
a
the-
bit more. Like,
Yeah,
can you go
that's-
deeper?
Yeah, I can
What
definitely.
more?
So definitely, we're the Michael Hoffman group. What he will be doing is we'll be doing at least 1 to 2 expungement clinics a year, where we're going to promote heavily right in the community where we're opening a store at. That we're going to try to get as many people as we can. Also, I wanted to create with the basketballs. I wanted to just try to keep that every year, because I felt like without sports when I was younger, I might have even drifted even farther away into trouble, except for when I got out of high school and then started finding cannabis. So it's like sports kind of always kept me in line, and that kind of touched me. So that's why I think I would try to do something more with that, with sports in the community. And then another thing I wanted to do around the neighborhood too is do like community cleanups, because not a lot of people do that anymore. And just to help clean up the community, because when I grew up, Jersey City wasn't as dirty as it is today.
And also, could you speak about how you're going to be hiring members from the reentry program also? And can you promise to hire at least 10% of your workforce, if not more, towards people coming out of the reentry program?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely. When I found out about that, I was like, that would be great, because I was once a reentry, so I want to be helping someone else to reenter. And to be honest, even just because they're reentering too, also just people dealing with the same situations like me, like bad, like you can't get a job because you were a cannabis user.
So it sounds like that's really impacted and really had a obviously lasting effect and inspired you to do what you're doing. I would really, and I see it in terms of your experiences, but I would really wonder what else you could create. I mean, that might be ongoing, that might be more impactful,
It's a good thought. Maybe I'll try to. I'm definitely gonna try my best to impact more people as best as my ability could take it. And my ability is pretty strong, so I think I'm gonna work forward to even helping more people in the future. And I'm hoping one day you're gonna look back at me and say, "Chris, you were in line over there."
I noticed that you say that you're going to hire people, but I also see that you have in your application that you're going to be training them. Like, what kind of training is it that you're going to be giving them?
So this is more of a question for some of the reliance in the papers, but they have to be trained. All employees have to be trained on a number of core subjects through the CRC. So the HR company that is working with this applicant actually has a e-learning platform that they developed that they're getting certified by the CRC to teach the core 8 subjects that the CRC requires everybody be trained on before they are given a badge. Additionally, standard HR procedures, harassment training, drug alcohol workforce development, similar trainings that members of Jersey City might have to take on a regular basis. And then they'll also be trained up on certain standard operating procedures within the trade secret information, how they want to approach customers, how they want to interact with customers, their branding, their messaging, et cetera.
Yeah, and I'll be just training them maybe just to be more likable, maybe like me,
Or maybe they open up their own retail store. How about that?
or leave me and go open their own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that happens in business. You just really nothing you could do about it. But if there's, it happens. Yeah.
Support them.
But I'm thinking my core group right here that I have is pretty good friends. I've known them all since 10 years plus. And my brother, actually, obviously I've known him a lot longer. And I'm so happy
Oh, you
that,
wish you
know?
didn't.
But, yeah, it should work. I think everything should work out. I'm going to follow the rules best all the way to the code. I got the guys helping me out, Adam, with everything.
Who is your security consultant?
Cannabis IT.
Your other business, the trucking company, how long has that been in existence?
So we formed the LLC in 2017, but the trucking business didn't get off right. It was actually a friend of mine's business that he told me, hey, come on, let's do this together, work it out. I'm going to make us money, blah, blah, blah. So I had a little money saved up. I decided to throw it in. It was a little bit of a mess for the first 2 years and a half, maybe. It's really hard to find drivers. It's one of the main things in a trucking company. If you can find a driver, you can get the money, but without the drivers, you can't work, you can't eat. So like the first 2.5 years, it was just struggle. I actually paid one time for a driver to go to school, and then he came, got in the truck, and quit on me. He said, I can't do it. It's lots of obstacles, but for the last 2 years, we've been running it smooth. I have a really faithful driver. He's here today. He's going to testify for me. And yeah, that's it.
How many employees do you have, or supervisors?
Right now we have one. We had two. We just lost another driver. I only have 2 trucks. It's a smaller business, not super big.
Okay.
Anything else from board members? Hearing none, seeing none, open it to the public. Questions and questions only on Mr. Broderick's testimony thus far. Hearing none, seeing none. Next witness.
Thank you. I'd like to call up Edward Broderick, who's our Director of Operations.
You may need another chair.
Yeah.
All right, welcome, Mr. Broderick. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You can put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address.
Edward Broderick, Broderick, 531 Liberty Avenue, Apartment 1.
Thank you, sir. Your witness, Mr. Weiss.
Thank you. Mr. Broderick, thanks for joining us tonight. What do you currently do?
I was let go of my job
When?
in May.
Okay, before you were let go of your job in May, which I have here, what were you doing?
I was managing a maintenance company.
And how long were you managing a maintenance company?
8 years.
And were you the property manager?
Property manager, yes.
And could you explain to the board what some of your experience was as a property manager?
Well, I was, of course, in charge of all the properties. It was 13 properties. I had 5 employees, make sure they got paid, work orders out, and everybody worked safely and got home.
Were you responsible for making repairs to properties?
I did plumbing work, I did everything, but then I also trained the employees after my old boss promoted me.
Did you also have to engage outside vendors, contractors?
Yeah, all the time. Construction people, carpet people, electricians, everything.
Did you have to manage those contractors?
I managed every aspect of the job, yes.
Did you manage invoices?
Invoices, everything.
Were you involved with payroll in any way?
Yeah, I made sure the hours were clocked in, everybody got their checks on time.
Were you involved with any sort of training?
I trained every employee on the job.
What did you train them on?
Just basic plumbing, painting, construction, conducting yourself in people's apartments.
Why do you want to get into cannabis?
Well, the flower has been part of my life for a long time. I used it because, like my brother said, we had a rough upbringing with our parents due to alcoholism. And marijuana helped us get away from it. Then the death of our parents due to alcohol, it helped ease the mind. Also, the years of work, I worked UPS, construction, maintenance. I use it for pain as well. Like my joints, 37, I'm not that old, but after doing some work like that, you feel kind of old.
What's your highest level of education?
Freshman of college, Hudson County.
What is your role with Legacy to Lifted going to be?
Overall management, director of operations. I'm make sure everything's operating good. Cause I have a long history of managing companies, like making sure everything goes right.
And you're going to work hand in hand with the consultants that your team is hired so that you can run a safe, secure, and equitable operation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I don't have anything further from this witness.
Board members, any questions for Edward Broderick?
So I'll ask. So you shared with us like your major management acumen, and from everything we're seeing about the day-to-day operation, so you're the person who's going to be sort of in the store also
Every day.
watching this.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through a little bit of the flow in which you envision where the points where you're going to be focused in your management?
I'm always going to envision safety first with all employees because you never know what kind of people or person could walk in having a bad day. And just to make sure everybody conducts themselves professionally as usual. Like my main course, like every time I worked with people, is to work professionally and safe because you always want to be safe at all times and professional at times so people be happy. So I envision a happy place. You come in, it's marijuana. You're supposed to be happy with marijuana. It's. So come in peacefully, enjoy, look at the menu, come through, buy some marijuana, go home a happy customer, hopefully.
So I was just wondering if your supply chain and logistics around that, so are there points that you're going to be measuring?
Yeah, we're going to go
Because
by.
you're both going to be in the store. Like,
Can you say it again? I'm sorry.
it sounded like you're both going to be in the store every
Yeah,
day.
we're going to be working the store, yes. Family business and friends beginning and outsiders as well afterwards. Like, because my brother has a vision and he wants to hire the community. We're all Jersey City, born and raised, 37 years here. Our father's from Jersey City, mother's from Jersey City, everybody's from Jersey City. All the people that's going to be working with us right off the bat are Jersey City residents their whole life. Everybody's Jersey City.
So I'm just going to repeat my question then. So when someone walks in, right, so you both are saying you're going to be in the store managing day-to-day operations. So I'm just trying to understand your role versus your brother's role in the sort of, are you managing inventory? How are you managing inventory? How are you logging things? So I just wanted a little bit more detail.
So with respect to inventory, it's going to be logged through metrics. We have an IT professional also who's going to come in with the IT stack and set up the POS systems. Mr. Broderick's the CEO and owner. He's going to be there. This other Mr. Broderick's going to be there as the operations director. The other people we have here, there's going to general manager who's here and a director of security. These folks also might act as bud tenders. It's a small business. It's only 1,500 square feet. So while we're giving everybody titles, it's sort of like wherever anybody can help out is where they're going to help out.
Beginning, yeah.
So.
I think, anyway, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I just don't know if the recording can.
No, it can't, but it says it's on, but it's not working.
Tap it.
Doesn't like me. Anyway, I'll talk loud, just in case. I think the questions that are being asked by the commissioners is, are you going to take training? This is a little different than enjoying, hanging out with friends and, calling up a buddy and, getting, weedy delivery. It's an actual business. And there are certain requirements by the state and by the city on how to operate that business. So will you be taking training courses and abide by all those courses as you're learning?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and look, I think it's important, again, this group did hire a host of consultants who are going to come in and train them. The operations consultant is going to come in and train them. He's going to work hand in hand with the HR staffing and training specialist so they can develop e-learning for this specific project. And so all the employees are going to be trained uniformly. So you don't have just one individual who's learned from the consultants, then training everybody. All right, you're going to have this uniform program that they've made a commitment to invest into and train up all their employees. They're all going to be trained. I'm going to make sure that they stay compliant because I'm not just the guy who's here presenting this application, but I'm going to be their compliance attorney. I'm going to be their attorney moving forward, and I'm going to help guide them and make sure that they stay compliant with all the regulations at the state and the local level.
Anything else from board members for Edward Broderick? Hearing none, seeing none. Members of the public, questions and questions only for Mr. Broderick on his testimony. Hearing none, seeing none. Next witness.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear firm testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You can put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address.
Christian Flores, Flores, 345 Union Street, Jersey City, New Jersey.
You're a witness, Mr. Weiss.
Maybe your mic here.
You're a witness, Mr. Weiss.
Oh,
Good evening. Excuse me, Mr. Flores. Did you previously work as a manager at Walgreens?
Yes,
And for how many years were you the manager at Walgreens?
I was well, actually, I started off as a manager in Rite Aid, and we converted to Walgreens. So if we put everything together, it'll be more than 5 years.
And what were your day-to-day duties at Rite Aid / Walgreens?
Well, I deal with the opening, closing stores, handling money, scheduling, payroll, daily tasks, reaching our goals.
Did you do interviewing, hiring, and training?
I did.
Did you manage office administrative duties?
I did also.
Did you maintain accurate stock control, including ordering, accepting deliveries, and organizing?
Yes.
And did you make sure that Walgreens was compliant with those things that you were responsible for?
Yes.
Did you achieve in assisting in achieving in all financial targets being set?
Yes.
What is your role going to be with Legacy to Lifted?
Well, with all my knowledge of retail experience, I would like to expand and just grow with the company. As you say, is one of my friends' vision, and I just want to help him out also.
Do you have a relationship with cannabis? Why do you want to get into cannabis now?
As you heard it before, it's helped a lot of people through rough times and everything. I actually did my research with cannabis, and I realized I could help out other people besides just handling depression, anxiety, loss, etc.
I like the comment, research in cannabis. That's
You
a
have
good
to
one.
research. If you're going to consume it, why not?
And you were you born in Jersey City?
Yes.
And you were raised here?
Yes.
And you still live here?
Yeah.
I have nothing else for this witness.
Board members?
I just want to tell everyone I did not mute Jeff's microphone.
But you wanted to.
Right. Would not be the first one.
Any other questions for Mr. Flores from the board members? Hearing none? Seeing none? Members of the public, questions and questions only on the testimony that Mr. Flores has just presented. Hearing none, seeing none. Next witness, Mr. Weiss.
Thank you. Last witness that we have for the day is Felix Aviles.
Welcome, sir. If you could be so kind as to raise your right hand. Do you swear firm testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address.
Yes, good evening. My name is Felix Aviles. Last name's Aviles. I currently live at 3238 John F. Kennedy, Jersey City, New Jersey, second floor.
You're a witness, Mr. Weiss.
Mr. Aviles, what's your current job?
I'm a head guard security for the Uber Corporation office in Secaucus.
And what are your roles and responsibilities as the head security? What did you say? The what?
Head guard security.
Head guard security?
Supervisor, yeah.
What is your roles and responsibilities as security supervisor for Uber and
So
Secaucus?
pretty much my role is scheduling, payrolls, hiring, training, and making sure, we have our guards on site.
Did you develop safety operations manuals for Uber?
No.
Did you, what is this? Do you help implement the safety operations for Uber?
Basically, we are, with the safety we deal with is front, making sure everyone has an appointment. And if they don't have an appointment, they're not no longer to come inside.
Do you manage the staff schedule and payroll?
Yes.
And do you ensure workplace safety and a quality guest experience?
Yes.
Do you manage internal fraud and theft investigations?
No.
Do you do anything with managing any investigations?
Only managing is if anything happens, like at the office. That's about it.
And what do you do if something happens at the office?
We deal with the management, calling USC, which is another IT security we have.
Do you report it up the chain of command?
Yes.
And do you oversee and patrol premises? The
Yes.
premises? What is your role going to be with Legacy to Lifted?
So pretty much, for Legacy Listed, the role is going to be just being in the front all day, checking IDs, making sure everyone's qualified for their age and look appropriate.
And are you going to receive training from the security consultant that was hired so you understand how to operate a safe and secure cannabis operation?
That is correct.
And where were you born?
I was born in Jersey City at medical.
And were you raised here?
Yes.
And you currently live here?
Yes.
I have nothing further of this witness.
So will you be doing the security aspect of your job full-time at the cannabis store, or splitting it between Uber and the cannabis store?
Well, right now, where I'm working at right now, the office will be closing down as of next week, so I will be doing full time if this goes through.
Translated, you will be laid off from the Uber job. Is that what you mean?
No, pretty much we'll be on standby, like if they want me to go to New York, but I won't.
The office is closing down.
in New Jersey, but we have office in New York though, so I could always go to New York, but I won't be going to New York. I'll just be on standby until they open another business in New Jersey.
Thank you.
No problem.
And again, will you be getting training from an actual security company in how to deal with cannabis? It's a lot different.
Yes, we have an IT security that was supposed to come today, but he didn't show up, but he will be doing the training.
So, just a question. How quickly do you think this is going to open? I feel like everyone's sort of making plans to start tomorrow, and it's going to take probably 6 to 8 months at least before, if you are approved by us, then you need to be approved by the council, and you need to be approved by the state. Then you need to get your certificate of occupancy, which needs to make sure that you have the appropriate ventilation system and all of these things. So I'm just thinking like everyone's sort of just waiting, it sounds like, for this to start. And it seems like
Everyone's been waiting for over a year, so yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's a slow grind that I think everybody in this room probably wants to see move a lot faster. But, we're beholden to the CRC, we're beholden to all the board approvals that we need to get in Jersey City alone, 3? This board, city council, back to the planning board, we gotta appear again before this board, the state, so yeah, there's a lot that we have to comply with, and this is just one of the boxes that we need to check, and hopefully we're able to do that tonight.
And while you're waiting, no shortcuts.
Of course not, yeah.
Any other questions from board members for Mr. Aviles? Hearing none, seeing none. Members of the public? Hearing none, seeing none. Next witness, Mr. Weiss.
I have no further witnesses. My expert consultants aren't here, and I think we were able to answer all of your questions tonight. If you need to hear from them, then, we would have to come back at a later date. But if you feel like you have enough information and are comfortable making a decision now, then we don't have to present those experts.
And those experts are just dealing with odor,
Well, there are cannabis the operations consultant to make sure these guys understand how to run a legal cannabis operation. Security consultant, where the cameras are going, how to teach them that they need to be safe and secure. HR and compliance training. So if scores doesn't work, if hiring friends and family doesn't work, okay, we're going to develop a targeted plan to hire locally here in Jersey City. All these people are on the applicant's team, and they would have been here tonight to provide technical testimony if that was the board's choosing. They asked if they could appear by Zoom. I told them I didn't think it was necessary, and if the board needed, we would just bring them back next month. But,
All right, with the board's permission, can I open it up for public comment?
Yes.
Yes.
And the comments are limited to 5 minutes?
3 minutes.
Sorry, I almost got hung for that
3
one.
minutes.
3
It's-
minutes.
There has been no change in policy.
So, members of the public now, you can come up to the microphone. You'll be sworn in, and you can give testimony either for or against the applicant. Your testimony will be limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that wishes to provide some testimony on this application?
I don't see Mr. Richardson here.
No.
Please.
Oh.
Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
Hugh Giordano, 57 Argyle, Blackwood, New Jersey.
Welcome, Mr. Giordano. Nice to see you again. What would you like to tell the board?
Yes, would like to let the board know that this group has signed a labor peace agreement, which means that they will have the support and backing of the UFCW. Part of that backing will be training. We are approved for an apprenticeship program here in New Jersey through the Department of Labor. And we are working directly with the state in training the employees, not only in day-to-day operations, but also in safety and training such as OSHA compliance. These jobs will come with living wages and benefits, and we will work tirelessly to make sure that these small business operators become successful here in Jersey City. One of the things that we're proud of as a labor union is to help working class people get into a small business and grow. These are working class people that come from the community. This is not an MSO, and it's going to take a little bit of extra work. But I think just like other folks around the country have done, they will do the same. I got to say on a personal level, as a union rep, it's always good to see folks that go through the turmoil as young children turn out to be decent adults. And hearing the stories, they definitely could have went another path. So we're proud to support them, and we hope that with our support that they will be granted approval tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giordano. Anyone else? Hearing none,
I think he's on his way.
would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, sir.
You can put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
My name is George Himmelreich. My address is at George Himmelreich.
I'm sorry, sir. How do you spell your last name?
Himm as in Mary, ELREICH.
Thank you, sir. What would you like to tell the board?
Yeah, so let's say hello. My name is, as I said, George Himmelreich. Good afternoon to the all your honors. I'm a former Marine that had the rank of Staff Sergeant in the Marine Corps. I met Mr. Broderick around 10 years ago at a Freedom Festival. I witnessed him go out of his way many times to help anybody that was in need. He instantly impressed me with his character and willingness to help the community and his fellow man. And I just want to say Jersey City is lucky to have him as a citizen and member of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir. Would you be so kind as to raise your right hand? Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
You put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
My name is Louis. My last name is Castano, Castano. I reside at 90 Lake Street, Jersey City, New Jersey. I haven't known Chris a long time, but, the way that I met him, it was impressive. Now in the area, in Jersey City specifically, they don't have too many good people. And the way that when we first moved in the block, snowstorm, my wife parking on his driveway, he was kind enough to please ask her in a nice gesture to never park in there no more. That led me to want to meet him. And it was just coincidental, I just call it an act of God. God makes no coincidences, As I was trying to go meet him, when I saw the sign that he had on the door, looking for drivers, and hey, I'm a driver, let's see what this guy needs. And we started working there ever since. I'm now a driver for Metro Truck and Associates for Mr. Broderick. And he's been nothing but pleasure ever since. He's a reasonable guy. He knows the needs of a driver. He has equipment that needs work, he'll get it fixed to make sure that I keep on working. And that alone led me to just bond with him a little bit more, and little by little, you know, we became kind of like a family, you know, and things just went on from there. And seeing how he mentors the kids that I used to mentor back when I was his age, you know, it impresses me, you know, because I've seen a lot of troubled kids out there that just need a little bit of guidance, a little bit of guidance. And by that, you might not see it like that, but it goes a long way because it creates a foundation that they probably didn't even have for whatever lack of resources was not given to them, you know. And Chris has impressed me a lot enough to be standing here and speaking for him tonight.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Good evening, sir. Be so kind as to raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You can put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
My name is Alexis Torres. Currently live in 338 Winfield Avenue.
And you spell
Jersey City.
Torres?
Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. What would you like to tell the board?
Chris has been a long life friend. I met Christopher as young as 12 years old. He graduated from PS 27, and I from a neighboring grammar school from PS 28. We then attended Dickinson High School together, and now still remain close friends as adults. So 17-year relationship is a long time. Chris found the plant at an early age and immediately grew enthusiastic interest in the plant. I witnessed the impacts that plant had on him, both negative and positive. When cannabis legalized January 1st, he passionately was so excited and immediately set a goal. Chris has been an influential friend and family man, represents community and most importantly culture. Since the legalization, we went to the Canatech Expo in AC. We went to the Cannapreneur Conference in Renaissance Hotel, and then we went to the another council meeting actually in 121 Newkirk. All of it has been scary for someone trying to be welcomed back to society, and he's helped me a lot through thick and thin. And he's a solid man with his friends and family. And given that social impact, I went to PS 28. And he went to PS 27 as grammar school friends. And it's just, we were friends in the community amongst each other in the Heights in Jersey City. And it was just rare for us to just see our friends combined and the community together till now we have the same friends and grow, and because of him, he's a stand-up man, and I definitely vouch for his application.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Anyone else? Hearing none, seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to close the public portion.
Motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, back to the dais for discussion on the application.
Well, I'll start it off.
He's unmuted, so.
You can't mute me now.
The
I'm
mic
holding it
now
off.
works.
Right. You know something? It's always nice to see someone who has researched cannabis for a number of years and corrected themselves and started a business, and, you know, it's a learning experience, and I think they have a shot, and I think we should give them the opportunity.
Anything else from board members?
I'm still a little concerned about the social justice and the hiring of African Americans. You just haven't given me enough to satisfy me. I know you said scores, but there's so many other resources out here that you could be a part of as far as hiring. But that's the way I feel. That's my feeling.
I think he could make a commitment if that's something the board is looking for.
Yeah, you mentioned 10%, but that's if he's hiring 10 employees, that's one person. So I think when we're talking about hiring, though, something that I have learned from speaking to people who work in re-entry, maybe working in the cannabis industry isn't necessarily the best fit for some people who are experiencing reentry. And so I don't think we're asking people to only hire reentry people, but to participate in these job fairs and help them maybe find other employment. I know recently the Jersey City Office of Diversity and Inclusion did a job fair for cannabis, and I did not attend, but I was told there were over 500 people there. So I do think there are a lot of people looking to work in the cannabis industry, but obviously the cannabis industry isn't going to employ all of these reentry folks and maybe isn't the best fit for all of them. So maybe, working with other organizations to help, or even being a conduit, right? Introducing people who maybe aren't the right fit for your business, but helping them find what is right for them. Because if you're only hiring 10 people and you've already hired your 5 friends in the front row here, you're hiring 5 more people, but there are a lot more people looking for jobs. So I think
I think what I was saying, he can make a commitment to hire a certain percentage of his workforce or target that is African American per
Isn't that
Glenda.
illegal?
the commissioners. No, we can try to hire a certain percentage of minority candidates. We can have a target for it. That's not illegal.
Agreed.
I think saying one particular ethnic group, like you mentioned, I think we always strive to have like the most diverse workforce that represents the city of Jersey City. That is the most diverse location in America. So I think that's really the most important piece. And I do want to highlight. So I'm just going to
Here, the
yeah.
workforce is diverse.
No, I was just saying, yeah.
Diverse.
Yeah,
Like we have diversity here in front of you today. Half of the members here are diverse, and they're all from Jersey City. I don't know what sort of better applicant this city wants other than the ones in front of you today, right now. They check every box that this whole program at the state level has been designed for.
So we're just having a conversation. I think it's up on the dais, if I'm not mistaken. But and I think we're allowed to express concerns because we want every single applicant we approve to be successful. And it's not simply about checking a box. By the way, just conversation is not a vote. We're just like sharing our thoughts. We're sitting here sharing our thoughts. I did really appreciate hearing about sort of what led the owner into the space. I would have led with that. Your personal story is very important to us, which drives you, because that had to be pulled out of you a little bit. And so that's sort of the thing, like there's something that brought you to this place. I think it's really important to share that. I think that vision that you have is important. I don't know if I wholly got your vision, but I will say my only concern is the number of consultants, when it sounds like, or what I heard from every single person, is that they have a high level of management experience, but yet we're bringing in a series like an HR consultant, and I think if all this team have been managers and have hired and have managed staff, I think bringing on all these other people might get the vision in an opaque place. So I think it's like I want to over time, right? See the person that runs the business be like very secure in what they do know, sit in that space of knowledge that they have, and be able to really own a lot of the things. And I think often we hear about everyone's trying to check every box and move everything, and I think that muddies the waters a bit. And so that's all. I think we're allowed to hear, we're hearing everything. And I just hope that the story that we just heard allows the leadership to rise. So that's all.
Yeah.
Just to note, so we started doing these working sessions so that everyone hears what we have to say, and so that when we vote, it is clear to you why we voted the way that we voted. So this isn't really supposed to be a back and forth or like a rebuttal. It's just an informal or a formal conversation between the board members to kind of share where we're at. before somebody makes a motion in any direction.
And
So-
I apologize to the board. I typically ask if you want to go into work session, but more often than not, when we go into work session, you still have questions of the applicant, so
Right.
the work session then deteriorates into a back and forth again. But why don't we do this? Motion to go,
Okay,
motion to go into work session?
motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so just,
Okay,
you know-
so I just want to say something. I find it refreshing after all the applications we've heard, which were, like you said, checking the box. It was, cut and paste. It was, multi-state. We have an applicant, they're trying to find their way. What's the difference? The only difference here, in my opinion, than someone opening up a grocery store or a little shop working their way through the whole aspect is that there's a lot of legal hurdles. So, I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt that they would try to do the best they can.
Yeah, I get that. And I get what you're saying. And yes, it is refreshing. And your story is quite interesting, but you did not necessarily lead with that. I get completely what Stacy's saying. So it's almost like, what is the vision really? Like each one of you are enrolled because he's your friend. And so you're there because that's your brother and that's your boy and that's your boy. You're like a bunch of bros. And we just have been smoking weed. We love flowers since we were however old, and we're flower power. I get all that. That's wonderful. But who really, at the end of this exercise, when council is not there, and council really, we're just breathe through it, please. It's all good. But like what's the there? That's what's missing for me. Like, what is the there? Like, what is it? I get it's you, and all the dots connect back to you. But like, it's like the responsibility of like exactly what you were just saying. Like, so I feel like the consultants are missing to tell them what to say or what to do now, right? And these are professions that each one of them have been in some type or kind of different way, levels of responsibility. So I'm not questioning if they can do the jobs or not, but they haven't really spoken to it. Like, you didn't really speak to the operations. You just said you're going to, since the bro, and we're going to do that. So
Yeah.
that's really, for me, what I'm sort of left with. And I get what you're saying, Jeff. It's very exciting. All of you guys are from Jersey City. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So would it be, I'm sorry, would it then perhaps be the board's pleasure to table this and have their consultants back in, or did I misread that?
Well, my concern is the same as Courtney's. I don't think that there's been any relevant discussion as to how your experience is going to apply to cannabis in this industry, other than you enjoy cannabis, which is not necessarily, in my opinion, a qualification that makes you able to open a cannabis dispensary.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's not been, like from you, your operations brother, like how are you, like Stacy was asking, like how are you going to operate? Like I'm here looking at your floor plan, so I see that, and it's just kind of walking us through, how do you see that working? You've got to have a vision. You boys have been kicking it around, I know, for the last year. Like, now's the time.
Could I make a suggestion? Counselor, maybe you would want to talk to your client and ask for a postponement to a later date to clarify and come back with your experts and to basically have more of a vision of what you heard from the commissioners. I hate to see your client be knocked down.
Yeah.
Again, I believe that everybody has a right to start a business and try to work or fail. Look, we all know that some of the businesses won't succeed. Some businesses won't even get to the point of opening up, but some will. So I think my fellow commissioners are raising some interesting and important ideas that your client has to their clients have to really focus more in on that aspect of running the business.
So, Jeff, I know that Mr. Weiss initially had said if the board felt that additional testimony would be required from these experts, he would indeed ask for another date and make sure that those experts were available. So if that is the board's inclination, he's already indicated that's.
But is it really the experts? I mean, in the end, this
I
is
think-
what you have, right? So,
Well,
I mean, look, these guys are going to get training on the operations.
This is not a back and forth. So it's not supposed to be a back and forth. It's a working session between the board.
Speak with my client and ask about a postponement so that they could further.
There's a conference room over to the side if you guys want to step in there. But I also want to say, I think this has also become, and not necessarily because of this board, but everyone wants to come up here and tell us about all of the things that they did. And it kind of your business, a lot of the business stuff is getting lost now. Like everyone wants to tell us all the charitable things they did. And to me, I know that that is something that this board is supposed to look at, and it is an important part of your application. And you said you did things before you even had the idea of being involved in cannabis, which if that's the case, that's very commendable and great. But I don't think that anyone should be doing things because they want, like, if you're doing good things to get a cannabis license, you're not doing good things for the right reason. So, and I'm not saying that about this applicant. I'm just saying that everyone comes in and the first thing they start talking about is, I spoke to this organization and I'm going to do an MOU with this organization. And the other parts of the application are getting lost because I think people are getting too focused on that. Which is where Stacy said, lead with your story. Why are you doing this? And we've been doing this for a long time now, so I feel like we're pretty versed in it and we kind of know what we're looking for. So,
you
but
have
yes.
a super powerful story.
But if you want to step aside with your client, the conference room is right there.
Do you want to take a 5-minute break?
We can take a 5-minute break.
Answer the questions that you want to hear. That's what he asked for just now, in terms of the flow.
I personally think to do your client the best advice is
Jeff, you're not going to control how the board is voting. So if he wants us to ask him the questions, that's his prerogative.
The board shall return in 5 minutes.
It's my medicine. I mean, me helping others give me my purpose in life, and it's something that I want to make sure my employees are doing the same.
And again, you held the meet and greet successfully after sending out those 450 letters, and you have received love, if you will, and support from the neighboring businesses. Is that right?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was one of them that just really came to mind because he actually he does upholstery. His name's Jamal. He lives he does live. He lives on the second floor, he said, but he does upholstery. And he was just telling me about all of the really cool things he does because Steph's brother is in the...
Mrs. Doubtfire?
No, it's plays in Mrs. Doubtfire, but in Broadway, and he was telling me how that's why I brought that up. He does like upholstery and the scenes for Broadway, so it was a really cool discussion. I just bring it up because it was welcome. I mean, he came and literally, good luck, awesome. I mean, never met him before, and he just was really happy and excited to see a business come in. And we actually thought of a really cool thing to, it's not about just our business, it's about all the businesses. If we all prosper, we have more people coming, so we want to work together. So a little place card. So when people can walk around, we're going to have a place card, like a little card. And if they go to a store, they can check it off. And once they get so many, they can come to us and we'll give them, again, I have to make sure what's legally allowed to give them. But, if it's apparel or maybe even, a joint or some gummies, like the more business they go, the higher they can, the higher prize they can get at our dispensary. So that was something I was talking with Claude at Freetown Road about doing.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I just want to take a quick second to give my own statement as I am a member of their community very quickly. I have operated my small business at 559 Newark Ave for many years, and before that, I was located at 595 Newark Ave as a Hudson County prosecutor for the better part of a decade. So I really consider myself, without getting sentimental, that strip is like my home. And I really look forward to having you.
Well, thank you.
Questions
It's
from the
fairly
board?
unusual to have a lawyer testify, but I'm sure the board accepts that. All right, that was not exhaustive. That was extensive.
I've been told that many times.
Freudian slip.
That's what my mom usually says.
So, any questions from the board members for Mr. D'Alessandro on his testimony thus far? Must have hit all the bases, covered most.
Extremely thorough.
All right, then. If there are no questions from board members, and I failed to note for the record that Stacy recused herself from this application. She's left the dais and is sitting in the audience. Any questions from the audience for Mr. D'Alessandro's testimony? Questions and questions only. Hearing none, seeing none. Is there another witness?
We do have some folks here in the public today that may want to give testimony, but that's it for my witnesses.
That's during the public comment
Right. But that's
session.
it for the witnesses.
All right, then. So with the board's permission, we will open it up for public comment. You're limited to 3, not 5, 3 minutes. You can come up to the podium. Please be sworn. And you can give us your testimony. All right, please raise your right hand. Welcome, sir. Please, do you swear affirm the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address.
Terrell Washington, that's Washington, 67 Atlantic Street, Apartment 1, Jersey City, New Jersey, 07304.
Welcome, Mr. Washington. What do you want to tell the board?
Thank you. Okay, so I'm a vet, Army vet. I've met Brett. I've known him for about 3 years now. I was introduced to him through working with City Hall Veterans Department. I'm an advocate for any veterans, older, younger, and when I got linked with Brett, I worked with him and his organization for about 2 years before he brought me on as a board member for Backpacks for Life. I've been with this man since through the pandemic, when he's helped everybody from vets to expound on what he said, even civilians, officers, cops, anywhere. He's put himself in harm's risk to make sure that everybody was okay during the 2-year pandemic and even more than that. Seeing him work with regard for himself, but really no regard for himself, I'm older than him, and he's like a mentor to me. So that speaks to what type of person that he is. And it's hard for me to find a mentor because I have 2 in my 36 years on this earth. So it's kind of hard for me to look at somebody in that type of light. Also, I've never indulged in cannabis, any type of cannabis, since I've been here. But the thing is, anything that he supports, I want to support. And I did my research on it to the point that it would be something good for veterans. I've been around a lot of veterans during my time in the military and out the military, and I've seen the effects of opioids and the negative effects of that, and I've seen the effects of cannabis. And with him explaining to me, and even though he is my mentor, I wanted to find out myself, it was obligatory for me to go and do my research, and I see the difference between, and I see why he wants to pursue this, and in the area where he's from and where I'm from. Excuse me. Also, when it comes to opening a business, I can't think of anybody else that I would support. I know everyone in Jersey City. I've been here my entire life besides my travels through the military. But if we want a cannabis business that's well respected and clean, gonna follow the right rules and will not deviate, and you won't have any issues, then Brett's your man, and I support him fully.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Anyone else? Good evening. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
You can put your hand down. Please state your
Thank-
name, though we know it. You can
I'm
spell it.
I'm a friend of Glenda's, but don't hold it against me. Jim McGreevy. I just I just want to be here and to support of. I just a couple things. One, just be in the presence of Brett and Terrell is awe-inspiring. Their commitment to veterans is second to none. I had the pleasure of getting to know Brett through the mayor's office and through advocacy for veterans. Just three things that I would like to say. Brett is a tireless, indefatigable advocate for veterans, for the disenfranchised and the marginalized. Candidly, we signed the agreement, and Brett said, "Well, I'll commit to 50%." I said, "Brett, no, just 10." Brett is what you hear is what you see, and his commitment to reentry. We have the pleasure of being in Jersey City at 591 Summit, and as Stacy knows, Dwayne Waterman serves as our site director. Approximately 76% of the persons that we deal with suffer from addiction. Specifically, we have a high percentage of opioid addiction. We have about 42% co-occurring mental health. And the reality is today, there is no heroin in the heroin in Jersey City. It's fentanyl. And so, as Brett has said, cannabis is recognized as a treatment therapy for those suffering from opioid use disorder. And that's why we're strongly supportive, respectfully, of this application. And secondly, for veterans, there has been those veterans returning home, and we're cognizant of the fact that a very positive trend has been an increased number of veterans, persons of color, which return home to the community, but many of those veterans don't always have health care services. And that's why providing necessary health care services is so critical, to which Brett alluded, on psych services, addiction treatments for both behavioral health and medical health, which is so critically important. And so lastly, as I just want to thank Brett, and I want to thank Darrell, and I wanted to thank their community, because when we cure a veteran, we also reach into the family. Veterans have the highest degree of suicide, the highest degree of homelessness, and also the highest degree of those returning from Iraq and Afghanistan, highest degree of mental illness. So having this resource in our community is responsive both to veterans, both to the realities of opioid use disorder, and also a great partnership with a good young man who's tremendous, who's actually getting married this weekend. So mazel tov. But in any event, I just want to say thank you. So Terrell and Terrell's not getting married anytime soon, but it's another story. I'll stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. All right. Anyone else?
God bless.
Good evening. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name,
My
give us
name's
your
John-
address.
My name's John Coyle, Coyle. I own the property at 638 North Avenue.
You can use that microphone, Mr. Coyle.
I'm not sure how to work it.
We give you a plus for that.
There you go. Okay. Thanks. I chew gum. I have a little bit of a problem with my throat, so please excuse me for that. So I'm proudly a born and raised Jersey City native. I've operated a law practice at 638 North Avenue for the last 45 years. I've owned the property for over 40 years. I'm happy to have a cannabis company come in and be part of the community. My roots are in that community. I'm there every day for the last, as I said, 45 years. I still live in Jersey City. My life is in Jersey City. I've specialized in criminal defense, so I've seen the negative side, the criminalization of the effects on Jersey City residents that merely possession of marijuana could have on them. So I'm happy to be on the other side of that, where we can give positive input to those people and give them the opportunity to escape any type of criminalization with this goes. I echo all the comments that Mr. McGreevy has made with regard to Brett. He's the salt of the earth. For whatever it matters, I am a veteran of the United States Army Reserve, and I fully endorse this commission to please accept this application and to grant it. And thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, Mr. Giordano, you remain sworn. What do you want to tell the board?
Yes. Hugh Giordano, UFCW. I just want to make it a further point that a fact that a micro license signed an LPA is a big deal. The state does not require a micro license to sign a labor peace agreement. So the fact that Brett is willing to stand up on day one as a small business owner, as a micro license owner, to pay living wages and benefits goes a long way. And we're committed to helping small business owners grow. We're committed to making sure that they have affordable health care and retirement funds as well. As a labor union, that's our goal, is to make sure that working people have a voice. And the fact that he's also a union member just makes it that more exciting. So the UFCW fully endorses this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, good evening. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You can put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
My name is Vanessa Friedman. Last name is Freedman, 269 Grove Street, 3R, Jersey City, New Jersey, 07302.
Welcome. What do you want to tell the board?
Thank you. Well, I just, I'm here to show my support for Brett. We know each other for a little bit over a year. And I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that he's an impressive individual. But I just wanted to come as a community member. My sister and I have been Jersey City residents and small business owners for over 15 years. So this is our home. We love it. One of the reasons that we like living in Jersey City is because it is a city, but it's also very much a community. It's a small town. Everybody knows each other. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like Golden Door Dispensary is going to be such an asset to the community, because I just know how dedicated Brett is to helping everyone around him. I've seen it firsthand. It's one of the things that impressed me about him and his fiance Alexa when I met them, was just that, you know, they're so young and they still just have like just this passion and this drive to just help other people. And I was in a situation recently where a good friend of ours developed an incurable form of cancer. So my sister and I started a GoFundMe for him to help, you know, just raise money for him to live and his treatments and everything. And Brett was like the first person to just be like, what can I do? Let me help you. You know, spend time on the phone with me, helping me to figure out how I could help this other person. And was just, you know, I mean, with all the other things that he has going on, his work and his nonprofit and his wedding planning and just life, he was still just like, what can I do? I'll hang up flyers. I'll go out and help people. I'll go out and talk to people. And yeah, just a very selfless individual. And I just feel really excited. I feel like he's the perfect candidate for this type of business. And it would just be such a huge asset to our community.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
Sure, it's Elizabeth Friedman, Freedman, and I'm at 269 Grove Street, 3R, Jersey City, New Jersey, 07302.
What would you like to tell the board?
I basically just kind of seconding what my sister just said. She and I are small business operators and owners and residents of Jersey City for over 15 years. We've had the pleasure of having Brett and his beautiful fiance as our clients, and they're just amazing people. You can go into the apartment any given day and see, you know, a floor to ceiling stack of things that they're going to be mailing out to the veterans. They just have a tireless energy about them where they're just always trying to enhance people's lives, make the world a better place. They're just genuinely amazing humans. So we're just really excited for this opportunity to unfold for them. And also, just as females and as POCs, we're excited that there's going to be a space in the community where people are going to be able to feel comfortable, to feel seen, to not feel judged, and to get this kind of experience where, you know, sometimes it's an environment where you're left to feel a little bit uncomfortable, or perhaps like it's something that's like a little bit seedy or anything like that. So we're excited because we know they're going to just introduce like a very high quality experience and something that's just safe and approachable for everybody. So we're really excited for the opportunity and can't wait to see how this grows. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to close the public portion.
Motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, did you have any last words? Otherwise, we're going to go into work session.
Do you have anything else?
Thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
We submit to the board. Thank you.
All right, motion to go into work session?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Back to the dais for a discussion.
Really nothing more to say.
Oh, okay. Well, if you want to make a
Courtney or Glenda, anything?
make a motion.
Really,
Motion to
very,
close the-
Very, very, very stellar young man. Stellar.
All right.
And seemingly, yeah.
Motion to go
Okay,
back-
no, motion to close the public
Motion to
session,
close
or
the
the work
public-
session, sorry, work session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right.
All right,
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
roll call.
Chairperson Bunny,
Aye.
Vice Chair Kaplowitz.
I want to congratulate you on getting married. When do you find the time to go on a honeymoon? I don't know. I got to tell you, there's a few applications that we get that are just superb. You are one of those applications. I wish you all the luck in the world. I vote aye.
We're actually going to the military influencer conference in Las Vegas.
You got a very cool wife.
I know.
I tell you.
We're flying there right after the wedding.
Commissioner Sally
Glenda and
Perkins.
Courtney, you have to vote.
I approve.
Commissioner Sloan.
Aye.
And Commissioner
All right.
Flanagan recused herself.
Yes.
Congratulations. Thank you,
Motion
guys.
carries. Best of luck.
Thank you.
The next application is CCB 22-29 Kush Club. You guys, it's up to you.
Does anyone need a break?
I tell you, that was an impressive run. That was incredibly impressive.
Incredible. Yeah. Tough act to follow. All right, so we lost our board. Do you need a break? It looks like the other board members took off. I don't know if you need the restroom, et cetera, but
Yes,
okay.
yes.
I still have a picture of him and my son.
That's what I mean, the difference of like.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
What did I miss? Difference?
The difference between the
It boils down to he's a great witness. The other witnesses were not fantastic. Since we all right.
But everybody has should have the opportunity.
Tyrell used to work.
You know something? I give them a shot just because I work with them, the guys that they know.
I got to tell you, I'm going to call him because my nephew, when he got back from Afghanistan, drugs, booze, I thought we were going to lose him. And then he got on pot. He seems to be, he still has problems, but he's much, much better.
Right. But you know something? No one's meant to go to war.
Yeah, I agree. I got to run to the restroom myself. See you in 2 minutes.
What's the longest session that you guys have had?
Excuse me?
What's
We
the
went to like 1 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, offensive. Yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
No,
We're not
that,
doing that ever again.
that was towards the beginning. I think that was the second or third meeting. After that, you get too punchy.
We promised to.
That's good mommy food, right?
Well, a couple of minutes. Everybody's just taking a bathroom break.
How are you holding it?
I'm good.
All right.
Make sure that mic's on. I don't know, is it? Make sure the green light is super that way. Yeah. Gotta press the buttons under the green light.
I was a recipient of all of those.
Yeah, right. Go down. Put your finger down.
And Sandy's.
Yeah, there it is. Right. Thank you.
He was talking, man. We're gonna be rude.
Testing.
Yeah, see? Because he was low. I'm like, is it me? Maybe I'm going deaf now. I was going with that. She's deaf.
Jim's gonna say it's a public portion of the
No, I think it's the weather. Is there really no garbage in this whole building? Why I suppose go over to the bathroom.
All right. Either way, this is gonna go okay.
It's not even about the eating. It's about. That's what. Anyway, when we said to do this, why there's no garbage can because you're not supposed to be getting or eating. Yeah, but you're not like there's also like. He says it's scared of like a bomb or something. Like, I don't know. I'm hungry. It was like the most unhealthy dinner I've had in like
done one of these
months.
She's like, stop eating it. She's like, I can't.
I know, but once you start, you can't
Yeah, that's
stop.
the thing. You can't. Once it goes, you're like, I'm good. I'll complain later.
Maynard. He was like, who's that guy? I'm sorry. Oh my God. What's his job? How'd you go under the radar or something? Courtney.
Can you tell her?
What? Oh. Courtney?
Maynard, just give me a signal when we're on.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we are back on the record. This is in the matter of CCB 22-29, Cush Club NJ LLC. Counselor, please enter your appearance into the record.
Thank you. Greg H. Hilzer, a partner at Pashmanstein Walter Hayden on behalf of Cush Club NJ. Cush Club is going for a Class 5 retail license to be located at 550-560 Tunnelly Avenue. It is located in Ward D. The planned dispensary is proposed to be approximately 3,000 square feet. Cush Club is a 100% minority-owned existing cannabis business. Unlike many of the applicants that you see come before you, Cush Club has been in the regulated cannabis space since 2014. They operate 4 dispensaries, 2 in Washington State, 2 in Canada, but they are very much a small business. The process of getting to Jersey City was a long one. They first had to decide which state to move into, and then they looked at several areas within this state, and Jersey City simply, spoke to them. It spoke to them for several reasons, which they will highlight. Most importantly, they needed to find a place that they could both do a successful business and also live, because the owners are going to be moving here.
So if you're a 100% minority-owned business, somebody here has to live in New Jersey.
Yes.
So, but you just said they're moving here, so.
Right. So.
Do they live here now?
I live in New Jersey.
Okay.
He's the 5%.
Right.
So you're not 100% well, you're 100% minority owned, but it's not one owner. Somebody owns 5%.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
The cannabis space is a challenging industry, and experience matters. This is a group that can hit the ground running and serve as a model for others that want to do this the right way. With that, I'd like to swear in my first witness.
Thank you for that, Mr. Hilzer. Who's your first witness?
My first witness is Hanuk Abraha.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear firm testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
You can put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name slowly, and give us your address.
My name is Hanuk Abraha, and my last name is Abraha. My address is 583 Battery Street, Unit 2504 in Seattle, Washington, 98121.
Your witness, Mr. Hilzer.
Thank you. Mr. Abraha, what is your occupation?
I'm a cannabis retailer in Washington State and in Canada.
Okay. How long have you been in the cannabis industry?
We started our first dispensary in 2014 in Washington, in Everett.
Okay. Before entering the regulated cannabis space, what did you do?
I worked for the Department of Transportation in Washington, and before that I had a contract with the state to operate one of their contracted liquor stores during the time when the state still controlled the liquor stores.
Okay. So you're used to operating in a regulated environment?
Yes, I am.
Where and when did you launch your first retail dispensary?
Our first store was in Everett, Washington. It's the second largest city in Washington. We opened it in 2014, and the store is still open. We employ about 30 to 35 people. We've been a top retailer in our county since we've opened, and we've been in the top 3 position as gross sales in our county, and then in the top 20 in the state since we've opened.
Okay. And where are Kush Club's other retail dispensaries located?
We have another location in Shoreline, Washington, which is North Seattle, and then we have one in Vancouver and in Toronto.
Total of 4.
Total of 4.
And across your 4 retail dispensaries, how many people work for you?
About 80 people.
Okay. In 2021, if you can estimate, what was the total gross revenue of your 4 retail dispensaries?
Gross, including sales tax, is right around 15 million.
Okay, great. If you're licensed to operate in Jersey City, what would your role be?
I would be owner or manager, and I'd be here full time.
Okay, great. Would you be the 24/7 contact person?
I would be.
Okay. Describe why you chose to look to operate in Jersey City.
I mean, it's kind of, as you said before, we were looking at many different markets, but it really boils down to whether our business would succeed in that market, and then whether we wanted to live in that market to help operate and to grow it in that location. We chose Jersey City when we chose New Jersey. We chose Jersey City just because the regulatory aspect of it. We felt like it was friendly to cannabis, and that the CCB was taking an effort to control who was getting licenses without putting a cap on it, but putting it in specific zones and requiring that they be members of the community or have an impact on the community. The population in Jersey City was a strong determinant. There's a large workforce that we can draw from. There's a very diverse resident population that we can also draw from. That really isn't reflective in all the markets that we serve, but and really it came down to also that we wanted to live here. We felt like this was a place that we could place roots and grow our business on the East Coast, and this is the place that we would like to do that. Let's see. I mean, there is also the strength of the market. It's a very dense population, densely populated area, and we think that with our previous experience and our business model that we could do well here.
Okay, great. Turning to one of the key things that any retail business has to deal with, especially a cannabis business. Tell me about the security that you use to make sure that your retail dispensaries are, safe.
There's a lot of different factors that we take into account. We have facility security, product security, and safety of our employees and customers. But for facility, we really just try to analyze the issues that we've seen in the market. And we've done stuff that like high definition cameras covering all corners of the store, and intrusion alarms, glass break sensors, motion alarms, sound security systems. For product security, there's inventory procedures, restricted access areas, lock cases. There's tracking software to prevent theft. For consumer and staff security, we have panic buttons, we have security personnel, safe words, panic rooms, reinforced doors, 24/7 monitoring, and mobile panic buttons. But it's really just over the course of the 7-8 years that we've been doing this, we've learned from the things that we've seen and made adjustments, even if they're not required by the state.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of things that are required by the state, has Kush Club had any regulatory violations?
Kush Club has not. No. Our first store that we opened in 2014, we did have some regulatory violations, but that was part of the learning process for everyone. Washington was one of the first states to open, and so there was a lot of unknowns. The state system, their state's trackability system wasn't working effectively, and the state has since moved away from an enforcement mode to an education mode, which is basically like we can approach our enforcement officers and talk to them about the issues that we see, and they can work with us. In 2014, which is when we first opened, we did have some regulatory violations, which we corrected for, created processes for, and when we opened Kush Club in 2017, we have not had any violations on that store whatsoever.
What were those 2014 violations?
They related to like traceability and tracking. There was issues with, so the state system connects to our point of sale system, and the connection between those two, this was early on, it was BioTrack that we were using, and so the state system was using BioTrack as well, and we thought by using BioTrack we would have a better connection, but there was issues where it would report different numbers when we were doing sales.
It seems pretty minor. You never sold to underage individuals.
We did have we did have an underage sale to a minor in early 2015, and we have a 2-step process to prevent that in the future. It's checking ID at the door, and then also checking ID at the time of the sale. And like I said, we've operated Kush Club in 2017. Since 2017, I've never sold to a minor. Have never had any traceability or tracking violations since that point.
Thank you for that.
And as far as security at the door, have you worked with armed guards or guards that are not armed?
We've done both. So we've had armed security in our North Seattle location and unarmed security in our Everett location, and it just kind of depends on the market and on the issues that we've seen, and that's kind of how we've handled it from there. In Jersey City, we're looking at potentially, we're trying to connect with the local precincts so that we can get a better sense of the issues in our vicinity, so that we can decide whether it should be armed or unarmed. And we hope to be hiring off-duty armed police officers.
Mm-hmm. And did you attempt to go down to the local precinct recently?
I did, yeah, to the North Precinct.
Okay. I'd like to transition to your workforce development plan and your plan for local hiring. What is your hiring plan?
At this point, what we plan to do is hold a job fair. Obviously, we can't do that until we've been approved or had some forward progress. So that we do plan to have a job fair locally, and before the end of the year. We're also working with scores to give priority applicants to give their applicants priority if they qualify.
Mm-hmm. So just a quick question about your training program at your other retail dispensaries. If you could generally describe what that process is.
We do an extensive training program. We have a standard operating procedure, and my partner Philmon oversees that part of it. But it depends on the position that they're taking. So if they're a bud tender, they have training that they get for ID checking and product knowledge, but customer service, safety, different aspects of just operating as a bud tender. If they're inventory, then that's all that they're doing is just tracking and traceability and inventory management. And then we also have additional training. So all of our stores are medically endorsed. So we do take state training for medical endorsements. And so at least 2 to 3 employees at each location are medically endorsed.
Okay. And do you have any plans to do any expungement clinics here in Jersey City?
We do. We have an agreed upon MOU with Scores. I just attended an expungement clinic on Saturday, and that was, to be honest, that was my first expungement clinic, and it was. I felt like it was very beneficial to the people that were able to be helped. I saw over 50 people being helped in that location alone, and we would like to be a part of that. We plan to do one every quarter. Where we facilitate the location and provide the legal services, as well as financial contributions to Scores, so that they can fill the needs as they see fit.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, how did you come upon Scores?
It was. Go ahead.
That was through me and my law firm. He had been actually trying to find someone to do that type of work with, and we were happy to set him up with that. And like in most other things, he has taken the ball and he has run with it.
Okay.
So are you're there just the counsel here for the new project in New Jersey?
Yes.
Or are you just general counsel for the organization? Or
I would love to be general
specifically?
counsel for the whole organization, but I am. But I am his
specific to.
And I'm sorry, what's your law firm again?
Pashman, Stein, Walter Hayden.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
And where are you all from? Where's your firm from?
We're in Hackensack, Homedale, and a few other offices, but primarily Hackensack.
Mm-hmm. And are you a part of the organization?
Yes.
You're the okay. So you're the person from here in New Jersey.
Jeffrey's going to be
Jersey
witness
City.
number 2.
Okay.
We'll get to you. I promise.
Jeffrey is witness number 2.
Okay.
Excuse me. Your operations in Seattle and Vancouver, are you strictly retail or are you also into cultivation?
Strictly retail. So each one of those states, in Washington, there's a strict separation between growers and retailers, and we're retail.
And no consumption, just totally.
No consumption.
Yeah. Okay. How did you two meet?
He's actually a good friend of my partner's. My partner that I.
We're married. We're kind of becoming family.
Okay. All right. Good.
So in In the other markets that Kush Club operates, do you have a track record of participating in social equity programs and other charitable causes?
We do. I will say that Washington State didn't have a social equity program when it started in 2014. It just recently is trying to implement one, and so it's something that for social equity we weren't that involved in it because we already we're already established retailers. So, but what we did do is in local communities that we operate in, we do have. We do food drives. We've worked with Child's Drive to start their music program in the city of Everett. And then, so we do individual things in the communities that we operate.
Okay. And now transitioning to the steps you've taken to meet people and get to know the Jersey City community.
Back up one step. Sure. So what is your vision for doing social programs in Jersey City?
What we've set aside, part of our MOU is with Scores, but it's actually also in the Scores MOU that we have dedicated a certain dollar amount towards that would be part of it goes to Scores, but the rest of it would be used in other things that we see that the city needs. So I am new to the city, but we started with Scores, but we would like to expand towards other things that the community might need.
Have you had a chance to meet with some of the people that are located on neighboring sites close to where your proposed site is?
Yes, me and my landlord actually went to the two neighboring sites, the ones to the left and to the right of us. We met with Sam from Midas. He owns a business down the road, and he's building another Midas right next to the lot that we're at. And so we met with him and his son, whose son is the one who's going to take that over. And he was very, they were happy about it. They didn't have anything negative to say. I gave him my contact information, and we've texted a few times about whether changes and updates. I have tried to communicate with the people across the street who own the strip mall, because we're trying to find additional parking as well as trying to introduce ourselves to the community. But we have not connected with the owner. I've just connected with a few employees over there.
Your lot, it's a vacant lot. And are you going into a ground lease and building your own building, or is he going to build the building and you're just renting the space?
We're just renting the space.
And have you met with your councilman in that?
No, we have emailed, called, and I did stop by City Hall, but he wasn't there at the time. So I haven't been able to connect with him. I'll continue to try to.
Yusuf is right. This is in Ward D, correct?
Yes. Okay. Those are all the questions I have for my first witness.
You're not going to do a consumption lounge here, are you?
No, we don't have a plan to do one. We're just, no, we don't have a plan to do one right now.
So, Mr. Abraham, what is your race, nationality, or ethnic group?
I'm East African.
Thank you. How about Mr., I don't think he's here to testify, but Mr. Nagisi, what is his race, nationality, ethnic group?
He's the same. We're both East African. We met in middle school and we grew up together.
All right. Thank you. Questions from the board members?
Can you tell us, I mean, obviously you found Jersey City to be profitable. That's ultimately why you're moving here. But can you tell us more about your relationship with Jersey City? Because I think a concern that I personally have about these MSOs coming into Jersey City is that you have no connection to the city. And I don't know that that's necessarily what we're hoping. rather, I'll say some of the MSOs who have applied and have come here are making a very meaningful effort to immerse themselves in the community. And I think that's an important thing for me, again, personally. And so, what is, other than realizing it's a large city, it's a very diverse city, or it's the second largest, some of us would say first, but some would say second largest city in the state of New Jersey. So, that's logically why anyone would want to come here. But what is your personal connection to Jersey City? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to. I will say that I plan to move out here, and that is going to be my connection to it. And I understand that there are large MSOs that raise a significant amount of capital. I just want to be clear, like, all of our stores are independently operated. We run them ourselves. We own them ourselves. All the money that we've ever spent on any store, we've raised from the business's profits. So we're not, I guess I wouldn't say that we're as big as any of those other stores, even though we do have multiple locations and we have a large amount of revenue. I think all of our revenue is mostly spent on just trying to grow and to build our businesses. But as far as Jersey City goes, it is where I want to create roots. It is where I want to move. It is where I want to be a part of the community, and it is where I want to see myself in the next few years.
How many times have you traveled from Washington to Jersey City?
I've been coming out here for the last about 3 months now, trying to negotiate leases and to look at spaces. We've looked all over New Jersey, but this is a place that we've been to multiple times now.
Mm-hmm. So were there other options where you were looking, or?
There were other options in the state of New Jersey, but it wasn't, I'll be honest, it just wasn't appealing, like, as a place where we'd want to live, right? Like, it's, there's other places across the country that are also legalizing, but, we know that we're going to have to live here, and we want to live in a place that we feel comfortable and that we, there you go.
Right. You've sat and listened to the previous applications, correct? You were here for the whole meeting. And you heard the kind of questions that were asked, the kind of testimony that was given. In particular, as the chairperson said, the social aspect, what to give back to the city. So after listening to that, and I understand that, growing a business in a new area is hard and you have to concentrate on that, but this is a different kind of business. So after listening to all that, what do you envision or see where you could make a difference in the life of people who've lived here for a very, very long time? And also people who have been disadvantaged and, prejudiced against.
I will say the first thing that we talked about with me and Greg was that aspect, and it was the expungement clinics. Really, like, it drew to me because it is a way to correct for some of the harms that have been done, not just by cannabis, but also by the criminal justice system in a whole. So it is something that I drew to first. Again, I know that there's additional needs in the city, and it is something we want to do, but that is really one of the main things that drew me to it, is that in Washington, we just didn't have a social equity program. So there was it was actually the opposite, right? So, like, if you had a criminal conviction, they would prevent you from getting, if you got to too many points, they would prevent you from getting a license. Whereas it's different out here. And that's the type of system that I want to be a part of. And I feel the biggest impact that we can make is in the realm of expungement clinics and giving back to those who've been directly affected. Where we are minority shareholders, we are minority owners, and we're one of only 3% in Washington that have that were able to get a cannabis license. And there was a lot that weren't. A lot of people were in the medical field and just didn't know how to navigate that process. And for us, like, the biggest give back I think I can give someone is to give them an opportunity through learning about the business from our experience, and through hiring them through if possible, hiring them through the business, and then giving them a career and an experience.
So I just you mentioned in Washington that there was no social impact program. So did you just not give back to the community until you were forced to? Because I think what we're trying to get out is like social impact as a part of a being, not a forceful way to show us that you care to check a box, but sort of a part of what your company is as part of the growing need in a community or a part of the community. And so that's what we're trying to like pull out of.
No, I understand, and I don't think I was clear on that at all. There is a social equity program right now, but it's not a requirement. There's no requirements to do anything in the state of Washington.
Yeah. So what I'm asking is, does that mean you've not done anything in the community? So share with us other ways so that we can understand the culture of your work.
Okay.
And sort of the core of what we're trying to get at from like, you live in a space of social equity or impact and it's not being forced upon you, and that it's inherently a part of what you do.
Right. Okay. When we first opened, we began our business without a requirement, but we do food drives and clothing drives, and we've contributed to Child's Drive, which I kind of spoke about, but not really. It's a local program to help at-risk kids, and they were starting a music program, and that's what we've contributed to in the city of Everett. There's other programs that we've, over the past 7 years, that we've also contributed to in the cities that we've operated in, and it's never been a requirement, and it is something that we genuinely care about. We do it at the level that we can, as a business, and we do it because we think it's the right thing to do, and because we want to be. We were early in the state in the space, and we wanted to show that we were good operators, and we wanted to show the community that this wasn't, that there wasn't a stigma around it, and that we could help the community. And I do plan to continue to do those things here. Without it being a requirement. I get how it how it could sound, but like it is something that we are passionate about and that we want to continue.
Right. Because you're on a highway, so really there's no community there. It's basically,
And U-Haul and you so it just interesting to understand and sort of know more, because to your point, that's you're it's like a constant drive by there. So
Right.
how do you, and as a black-owned business, this is kind of just the complexion of what this looks like, and many of the people within this community, which you actually live here, and North Bergen, but
Still Hudson County.
Okay, still in the county. So yeah.
Am I allowed to speak, or?
Well, we're gonna as soon as we're done. Any other? Anything else?
Everybody seems to come through here with scores.
Everybody seems to come through here with, I can give you a whole list of names, Glenda. It's all the same.
And the thing about it is that there's so many other nonprofits.
I know.
I don't think your microphone's on. You gotta.
There's so many other organizations and nonprofits that people can look to try and get some help for those who are less fortunate and those who live in the impact area. I'm just kind of, this scores.
Well, I mean,
Thinking deeply.
It's fine. But while you was at the expungement clinic, did you reach out to any of the people that were in there to?
There was a representative from Women's Rising, and I did speak to her, and she gave me some great information about her organization. Scores was just the very first that was doing expungement clinics. There was another representative who was there from New Jersey Reentry, as well, but they were there under the capacity of Scores. I think they were just working for Scores that day. But Women's Rising, we spoke a bit about it, and I didn't know that they had been in business for or an organization for over 100 years. So, me and one of our attorneys spoke to her about it. It is something I'd love to spread out. Obviously, it's just Scores was something that spoke to me just because of what
Don't
they
get
were
me
doing.
wrong. I'm not saying anything. It's just the fact that everybody seems to come with Scores when there's so many other nonprofit organizations out there that that you can kind of do some research on.
Well, I mean, one of the things is that this is the, top of the first inning, for them here. And, they want to do more and they will do more. And by the way, like, they know that everything that they say here is being written down. So when they
And
have to come
recorded.
back, so like when they have to come back in 6 months or in 1 year, you're going to ask them whether they've done the things that they said they were going to do, and if they haven't, that's going to not look good.
I agree with you, but I also kind of feel like it almost seems that in a year people are going to come back to us and have done these things to get their license renewed, not because it's coming from the goodness of your heart. And that's especially my concern with these MSOs, because with all due respect to you, I think my question was, what is your connection to the Jersey City community? And it was, well, I'm going to move here. And for the past 3 months, I've been here to negotiate a lease. It wasn't like, this is the most diverse city in the country. It has really good restaurants. It's got great parks. There was no soul in that answer, no passion. It was just kind of like, this is a big city where cannabis is being legalized. So it's a great place for me to open a business, not like, there was no enthusiasm. This is my perception. And again, with all due respect to you, to me, that was a very weak response and just shows that maybe you're not coming here for the right reasons.
Yeah, it's very sort of
Well,
liberal.
He's operating a business, and,
Well, he has to choose based on the numbers and.
Right, but
Jersey
I think he's
City.
also been clear that he wants to do well and he wants to do, good. And he wants to do both of those things. And there's a plan in place for him to do both of those things. And he's going to do them for the right reasons.
All right, let's try to move this along. Anything else for Mr. Abraha? Any other testimony?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just speak to that. I didn't mean to make it sound as if I didn't value Jersey City, or that I just can't speak to all of the things that you talked about the diversity and stuff like that with any great honesty, because I've only talked to Jeff about the city, and this is one of the reasons why I want to come here. This is one of the reasons why I want to move here and be here, and that's, I believe that these are things that will improve. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I just can't speak. There's not much I can say on that.
Let's talk to Jeff.
All right, so
Jeff.
any questions from the board for Mr. Abraha? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Anybody from the public? Questions only for Mr. Abraha? Hearing none, seeing none. Next witness. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You can stay in that chair. It's up to you. Yeah, all right.
Yes.
All right. Please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address.
My name is Jeffrey Middleton. That's M as in Mary, Iddleton. My address is 8917 Old River Road, North Bergen, New Jersey, 07047.
So, Mr. Middleton, you are the 5% owner, correct?
Correct.
And what is your race, nationality, or ethnic group?
African American.
All right. Your witness, Mr. Heiser.
Thank you. Mr. Middleton, what is your occupation?
I am in advertising sales. I work for NBC Sports.
Okay. And how did you first get involved in Kush Club?
I got to know Philmon about a year ago and Hanok a little bit later. As I mentioned before, kind of a long, windy road, but Philmon's sister is married to my fiance's cousin. They're a small family, so we all got to know each other pretty close. And it was really great meeting him and learning about his industry. I've always known about cannabis, been researched it before from time to time, and obviously it's something that I'm familiar with. So learning about Kush Club through him, just through my natural interest, when I heard that they were interested in expanding into New Jersey, I was definitely interested in being a part of it, and definitely was able to voice my opinion in support of Jersey City as a community that I've spent time in as well.
Okay. And what is your connection to Jersey City?
Well, I grew up not too far away. I grew up in Maplewood, New Jersey, just near Newark and the Oranges. Would come here from time to time with.
No, you did not. You went right through Dorkin.
Just went,
It's in the neighborhood.
Yeah, take 78.
You have a plane.
Big shot from Tonaway, and Pulaski Skyway, and you'll find yourself there. Yeah, sorry. Public speaking. But yeah, my brother actually attended NJCU, played college basketball there. So I remember going to those games growing up as a kid just to watch my big brother, back in the day. So always had a little bit of reverence for Jersey City in that sense. And then now I live close by in North Bergen, kind of always been in the area my whole life, working in New York, went to college actually at Fairfield in Connecticut. We're arch rivals to St. Peter's. But it's all good, still got love for the Peacocks, NBC.
I'm assuming you're not giving up your job at NBC.
I'm just trying to get them to give St. Peter's, a TV deal, the Peacock. But no, I, in all seriousness, I don't intend on giving up my job at ABC in the immediate future. But I definitely had an interest in the industry and then eventually getting into entrepreneurship as opposed to, what the majority of my career has been working at larger companies. And this is definitely an industry of interest to me. Was really excited for an opportunity to work for a 100% Black-owned business and to be able to support a community where Black people are as well, and learn more about that community and how we can help impact that community, upon kind of getting the lay of the land and immersing ourselves in it. So
what would your function be at this dispensary as the first dispensary as you grow?
Yeah, as I grow, my function, these guys are obviously managing partners of it. This is really just giving me an opportunity to kind of get a front row seat to what they're doing and kind of contribute with the skills that I bring to the table, which is an understanding of marketing and advertising and where the industry is going in that sense, in terms of like the trends. Like obviously that's not something that's super prevalent yet, but just being able to be a base of knowledge for them in that sense, as well as like helping these guys with learning the area and any potential business development that I can contribute to based on my background.
Okay, so I'll ask the question again.
Yeah.
So what will you contribute? What's your function as a 5% owner in the business other than being a New Jersey resident?
So Jeff, frame of reference, 0.1% less, he is a passive investor.
Yeah, I am a passive investor.
Okay. All right. Then my next question, you've heard the previous applications. You've heard the questions just now. How would you advise the majority owner of how to addressing these issues? You're from New Jersey.
Yeah.
So how would you address those issues in moving forward and answering the questions of the commissioners on the social aspect?
Yeah, I think like obviously a lot of the value that I can assist with is being from Jersey and knowing North Jersey more broadly and being here now, and also intending to be here in the future to kind of help them in their efforts to get the lay of the land and understand where there are opportunities for them to contribute as a business and as well as individuals to the broader Jersey City community, especially as it relates to our community within Jersey City. So,
do you have any, you're part of the community, so not in Jersey City, but the African American community.
I don't purport to be a part of the Jersey City community.
But you are a member of the African American community. How do you see the company to help the community in Jersey City in particular?
I won't sit here and say that we have answers to those things already, but I do understand the value of being a business owner in the community and the opportunities that could potentially unlock in terms of us being able to be in a position to be helpful in the community. This is my first experience in terms of investing in a company, but I absolutely support and believe in what these guys bring to the table, not only in terms of their intent and desire to have a social impact, but also the fact that they set an exemplary model for how to conduct a store, a cannabis retail store. Like, obviously they've been doing this for a long time, so they have a lot of expertise in it. And I think that they have a lot to contribute even just to their peers as this continues to be an emerging, industry, especially in Jersey City with other retailers opening up, just to kind of be best in class and exemplary of how it's supposed to be done.
That's a great point, because you all already are. You have 4 stores already, or 5. That's pretty
yeah.
amazing.
One
Yeah,
one
that's-
other thing, I'm sorry to interrupt. I mean, what they wanted to do here is come here and be honest, not be something that they're not. Kush Club is not a
Yeah, I think
born and
we just
raised
want to
Jersey City
hear
company.
from them, not your finessing it to.
I'm not trying to finesse anything. I'm just trying to be.
He's doing legal.
Yeah. So
No, I mean, it's actually just being, straight and factual. Like, this is the start of a process for them, and they're going to work hard to make it as best as they can.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Why you guys the big
How big is the building? I remember reading through the application, but I've read 5 applications, so remind me how big the store will be and how many employees will you have here?
The square footage is 3,000 square feet, and we think we will have 20 to 25 employees.
That's a
And out of that 25 employees, have you thought about how you will be hiring them and to address, being a very diverse, employer?
He did testify he would hold a job fair locally and work with scores.
yeah, with scores.
Okay, so that's scores, okay.
Well, the job fair wouldn't be with scores. The job fair would be a standalone job fair in Jersey City with the goal of hiring 100% from Jersey City.
Okay, I wrote down workforce development, job fair locally before the end of the year with hiring scores re-entry candidates as the priority.
That's correct.
I'm just wondering how Scores has all these candidates, but I think it's noble to want to support and connect with one nonprofit. But I think what people are hoping to just hear how you're going to put down roots. And I feel like sometimes, and maybe I feel like sometimes it's my own fault because I was seeking, real relationships with nonprofits. And I feel like I'm seeing a lot more transactional relationships, but not like embedded, vision for working collaboratively. And I feel maybe it's just premature, maybe for me to expect people to understand the nonprofit network and those that are effective and how effective they are, and seek out the best in a community and help it grow, or things that can leverage and grow stronger, because it sounds like what you want your business to do, and maybe align with, other organizations that do that. I think putting all your eggs in one basket, if everyone else is, or if that's what we're hearing from everyone that came today, I'm like, how many people are coming through this one organization? Because I don't know if there's even that bandwidth.
And a business like yours, of your size, and again, with you being Black owned, it could have a major impact here. There are several organizations that are specifically directed towards Black men, and growing and young Black men, and having them become entrepreneurs. And I think there's other options if you all really explore them, and possibilities.
So,
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I feel like we're having like we're doing the open session, but not doing the open or the working session. So.
Yeah, so why don't we move it along here? Any other testimony from Mr. Middleton?
No, sir.
Nothing else? Questions for Mr. Middleton? Members of the public have questions on the testimony that Mr. Middleton has? Nope, hearing none, seeing none. I'm assuming any other witnesses?
No other witnesses.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Motion to go into the working session?
We've got to first open it up to the public.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So this is the time for any member of the public to testify. You'll be sworn in. You'll be given 3 minutes to discuss or give testimony for or against the application. All right, come on up, Mr. Giordano. Oh, sorry. You go ahead. Yeah. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear firm testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, please state your name, spell your last name, and tell the board what you want to do.
Frank Robertson, ROBERTSON, 1708 Kennedy Boulevard, Union City, New Jersey, 07087.
Go ahead, Mr. Robertson.
I just want to find out, 550 and 560, is that a building there?
No.
'Cause I know it's a parking lot, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I just want to know because I know how that area is of Jersey City. And also Scores. I mean, I've been hearing Scores. I know I live in Jersey City. I never heard of Scores. I mean, even though it might be something new, I mean, maybe it's attorneys know Score, but I know if you in Jersey City, maybe I can help you guys. You could just drive down Jackson Avenue and find a million people looking for help. I mean, it's a whole bunch of like she said, black men need in Jersey City. You can drive right here on Martin Luther King Drive all the way to Danford Avenue, and you could find a lot of them that you could help. So those MOUs that you're getting from Scores, I think, like she said, there's a whole bunch of people saying this. So, and I'm from Jersey City, so I would say to a brother that maybe you should go down this avenue and see the brothers and ask them what they need, because there's a lot of help that needs to be done down here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, Mr. Giordano, you remain sworn. Go ahead.
Yes. Hugh Giordano, UFCW. Hello. Just want to.
Hello, Hugh.
Hello.
I see you literally everywhere I go now.
I know.
And now he sits on the ledge. Did you see that? He doesn't even sit in a chair.
It's the holiday season. It's like you on a show.
This employer signed a labor peace agreement with us. In saying that, although they are not a locally owned business, we are going to work with them to make sure that we hire locally, that we help make sure that the folks that they do hire are the ones that are in need. I think it's a great point to bring up in regards to African American communities and making sure that those folks get the opportunity to walk in those doors first and have those jobs, especially those that have been impacted. I think it's an important position to bring up. And since this is a minority-owned company and theoretically started as a small business and has grown itself into multiple locations, this shows the type of place that we want workers to work at. They have the knowledge and the ability to function appropriately. They've been through regulatory schemes in other states, and they also took willingly the approach to speak to the UFCW and to work with us immediately. It was an easy conversation. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, good evening. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
James Martini, Marttine. I live at 4 Blue Point Cove in Oceanport, New Jersey. I am the owner of the property owned by Martini Management, which we're in contract to build a new building for them. We've been in contact the last 6 months, back and forth. The last 3, traveling back and forth each other. I've talked to people that they've done business with. I vented them very well. I'm investing a large amount of money with these men to open this business on Tunnelly Avenue, developing old car space, which I had, and my family's been running I've owned myself for 20-something years. I bought that was a rock on Tunnelly Avenue. If everybody knows what that looked like, it was a rock, and I bought it. And I've had nothing but great things with these men. We've been in contact for months, and we brokered a deal, and they're good people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry. Did somebody want to ask a question? Oh, anyone else? Hearing none, seeing none. Motion to close the public portion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So,
Motion to start the working session.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So this is a work session. It's not a give and take. The board is discussing this matter, this application.
So just so I'm clear, and this is going to take probably more than a year to build, right? So when they come in front of us in a year from now, they probably would not have opened.
Correct.
I would say that that's pretty accurate
Okay.
because they
And
haven't
so
even gotten
does
the
it feel-
state license, et cetera, et cetera. Yep.
No.
No.
I think
So,
they still have to go to the planning board, right?
And the
They have to go
planning
to
board has to
council,
approve the
state,
building.
And then they have to build a building, build a 3,000 square foot building there. It's probably going to take minimum, with all the permits, about
12, 18 months.
9 months to a year.
Yeah.
I'd say that's very conservative because then the state has to come in and actually
Right.
inspect, and until they say this is okay, they can't actually get a license.
Right.
So like 12,
So-
18 months.
So just,
Yeah,
it
18
just
months is
feels
about right.
premature then
But,
to try to, like, I don't.
So, okay. So here's what I think. I think it's great that you're a minority-owned business. I think it's great that you signed a labor peace agreement. I think all of those things are good, but I still don't feel like there's a real connection to Jersey City other than the ability to make a profit off of Jersey City. And I think that a healthy cannabis marketplace in Jersey City needs MSOs, and you need micro businesses, and you need local owners. You need a variety of it for the cannabis marketplace to work, I think.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
I would say these men,
you talk a little louder?
in as much as we're inquiring into their Jersey City-ness, I think the owner of the property has just shared the level of the commitment we're talking. I mean, I don't know what type of dollars here, but I mean, I'd say that's a significant investment into our city, right? Into developing a part of the city that could certainly stand some development there in terms of just the jobs and where it's located. They're talking about hiring and creating 20, 30 jobs. I think, you know, given the 18 months to 24 months that it will take to get this project lifted, I think if you're willing to learn more about what other alternative programs that exist, I mean, I think they have a huge window to consider and to do those things. So that's just my thoughts on that. Anything?
Yeah, again, I just think in a year they have to come back and there would not be something built. And then what do we compare them to? And then it's like you didn't get to the goal, and then I think it almost cannibalizes their ability a year from now. So I'm just trying to get a sense of if the build out and the planning and all of this, and we say you say yes today, they come back in a year, right? That's the
correct.
So like in a year, and if it's not built because of planning, because I mean, I can't even with supply chain in general right now. So I fear that then we're comparing them against something a year from now. I mean, I'm looking very futuristic in how someone. I'm just thinking, is the application premature because they don't have the space? It's got to build it, and in a year from now, like they're, you know,
But the issue
then
is then they can't do one without the other. That they have to have the approval.
That's
so
all.
they
I
can
think it's great that someone wants to build a building for them, and that they're going to commit and be moving that along. I think we all know Tunnelly Avenue needs like prettier,
Well, that's
nicer
what yeah.
development. I think we believe in that. I think if not for the emotional connectivity, which clearly our chair is speaking of, there's a financial commitment there. But I'm just like, you set yourself up now to come back to us in a year that you're not going to have accomplished anything that you're.
Again,
gonna
for
be no
me, I think Courtney is correct. It's a big financial commitment, but again, this is my opinion. It's a financial commitment based on, I would assume, projections, because it's not based on having a connection to Jersey City, which is what the ordinance is supposed to, in some ways, protect. We're supposed to try to help these micro businesses and locally owned minority businesses open, and not just give it to MSOs who are coming in here for this exact reason, which is to invest a lot of money, yes, which creates jobs, yes. But I still don't, it's my personal opinion.
No,
We are all allowed to.
I'm like talking, not even, those things I don't even, I'm taking into account. I'm just saying, if they're in front of us a year from now and they have not opened, does that mean they have not even hired? And that means that everything they're saying today, they will not have reached those goals. And then it cannibalizes them for the future because they're not there yet. Whereas something else, turnkey, walk into 6 weeks, that's how I'm thinking. And I've
been fairly consistent on this, so I voted no on other applications because I felt they had no connection to the city.
I'm not asking you to change or think through a vote. I'm saying, for me, it's really hard for me to give someone a goal that I know that they're not going to succeed in, because I know that there's a lot of barriers to get to the goal line in a year. The lawyer himself said, bottom of the first inning, and I feel like to be closer to the end of the game, you got to be at like the bottom of the fifth inning, and without a building built, that is for me saying like, we're setting you up for failure.
But but then on the other hand, that's not who they are.
Right.
You don't get five. They led in the state of Washington, like one of the first licenses. I mean, that was one of the things in reading. It was like, whoa, okay. And that, I would imagine, was not easy to do.
Yeah.
So these are not people who just kind of are random. They hit the target, it seems. Their revenue was, $15 million over the 4 stores over however many years. They're players, and they want to play here. To your point, I get what you're saying, Madam Chair. I get that. But this is significant. And this organization has the opportunity, should you choose to step into it, to take on some social responsibility here is what we're talking about. And what that looks like and how that looks, I think I've kind of hit it over the head now. But there's a lot here, right? And there's no need to be random. You can be very specific. And as Stacy's saying, as opposed to everyone kind of, let's take on an organization and really grow. What you all are doing, there's so many other minorities specifically that could learn from you. I mean, you've done this successfully in other places. So, I mean, you really are a glowing example, So I hear you, but if we don't allow them to go forward, then how can they?
We have the landlord right here, so.
Yeah.
Well, we're working in.
Yeah, this is just between us. It's not.
Okay, so, listening to the testimony, to listen to the conversations here, and you know where I stand with a lot of this stuff. I do agree with the chairperson regarding the social impact of your business. But I also believe in giving everybody an opportunity to open up and prove that this is a different kind of business. And what Stacy says is true, is if I were you, and should we vote yes, I would spend as much time learning about Jersey City, not just the political people, the well-connected to tell you who to go to, but as a gentleman who is an old-timer when he says Jackson Avenue, which is, now Martin Luther King Drive, to explore. This is a different kind of area. This is not Seattle. And I look, something? To be, an African-American and open up a store, one of the first ones in Seattle, that's pretty impressive. I mean, that's not exactly what you call a diverse state, and to operate four businesses. yeah, I'm willing to give you a chance, but, guess what? You still have to go to the planning board. You still have to go to the council. You still have to go to the state. Then you got to come back to us.
So how do they do?
And between now and then, I think you should delve into the real Jersey City.
But Jeff, again, you're talking to them. This is a working session.
Well,
but
I'm talking to
my
them,
issue is.
And my comments are to them and to the board.
But my issue is you're basically to me, if I was going to open a business somewhere, I would want to understand where I was opening the business. I would want to immerse myself in that place. Because what we're basically saying to them is, look, you've been back and forth for 3 months, in your own words, to negotiate a lease, not to explore the area, not to learn the city, not to basically to find a space that works for your cannabis business. I don't know anything. I don't know much about the city. I'm not going to sit here and speak to it because I don't know. So now we're just saying, go learn it and come back in a year and tell us everything we want to hear and find some nonprofits to partner with. And because if you really want to do charity, you do it. If you really want to get to know a neighborhood, you do it. You don't, I don't feel that this is genuinely what they want to do, because if it's genuinely what they wanted to do, they would be doing it. They got scores from their attorney, who works for a firm that had another applicant that also was working with scores. I mean, it's just, to me, this is becoming everything that we intended for it not to be. It's the same nonprofits, almost every application benefiting. There is a city full of nonprofits. There's Stacy, I'm not going to say it because she will know the real number, but there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
But I would just say that when Glenda asks you, and I think if people don't read between the lines, it's really hard and it's really hard for me to watch. I just think social impact should be a part of your business plan. It shouldn't be money to an organization.
Correct.
It should be.
It should be part of your company values.
Right. And it's integral to how we work together, not how I give you money and you do for me to make me look good in a community. And that's always,
that's not their fault.
That's not right. That's just who right.
But we can teach people that.
Yeah.
No, but you
But we
really.
can teach people that.
Yeah.
By sitting here and listening to us, we're teaching people that this is not the normal, this is not the customary way of opening a business.
True, but the way the structure is set up, we didn't create that. It feels like it's the pay to play. Like you're gonna do that in this one, and how you gonna? So that we didn't create that.
Correct.
Right? So we're standing here holding the space and as best we
Yeah.
can, having this conversation. I get what you're saying, Madam Chair, but I also get the other part of what I'm saying about the business aspect of the city and also that particular area that's completely blighted and what happens.
Right,
So
but okay, so my question to you is how do we
proceed?
Well, no, really. I mean, because we're basically saying, come to Jersey City. You don't have to have any connection to the city.
We're not saying
But we are. We have already said it.
If we were saying that, we wouldn't be sitting here in this conversation right now.
There are some applications that just don't make sense at all, and that there's no background to show that they were going to move forward. I think that there's potential here, and we're teaching them the way we'd like to see business move forward.
So what could we create around that? What is it that they can do that we can know that what can be created is the conversation, right? Because we know everything else in the background is out of our control with the building department, and all the necessary other spaces and places they have to go. That's 18 months easily, right?
I do.
So then they get approved, and they come back to us a year, 18 months. If the building's up, yes or no? So what is it?
Right. So, but that's also the rolling of a dice, right? Because in a year,
Right, no,
hold on, in a year, this board can be completely different people
Yeah.
sitting here. So that's a gamble. Again, I just think that felt it with other applications as well. I don't think that we should say you can just come to Jersey City, give money to nonprofits because that's what you think you have to do to have a business and profit off of the city.
Well, I will echo, it's not nonprofits. There's one nonprofit, and that's sort of what Glenda was asking.
Well, no, I'm saying, I'm
No,
saying
I
in
hear you.
general, it's the same every time at this point. There's nothing different about it. Someone is clearly steering everybody to these. I don't know who that person is. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's not a coincidence that everyone that comes here says Scores or whatever. I'm saying Scores because we're speaking about this application, but we all know we hear the same names constantly. But again, I just, it's my personal feeling that there's no real connection to Jersey City other than it's one of the largest cities in New Jersey. We just legalized cannabis here, and they have an opportunity to expand to a 5th store. And if that's what we want to allow here, and we want to welcome MSOs, and because we can't open every cannabis business in the city, that's just unrealistic. At some point, we're going to have a lot of them. So if we want MSOs with no connection to the city, then if that's what this board wants it to look like, then you guys will vote how you want to.
So we are
We
almost,
will do that regardless, right?
I didn't hear what you said.
I said we will do that regardless. So the question still remains.
we are almost at 9 o'clock, so
Exactly.
I'm guessing that either a motion for or against should be made at this point, but I leave it up to the board.
Should we close the work session?
I don't know. Are you guys done discussing it, or?
You are? You're ready to vote? Okay.
Any further discussion?
Sally says she's ready to vote.
So what are you ready to vote on, Sally? Are gonna
You have to make a motion.
Oh, first we got to close the.
I make a motion to close the working session.
Is there a second?
Well, think about
All
it,
in favor?
You know, it's still up
We
in the
just
air.
closed the work session.
Oh, really? So,
Let me ask you.
Hold on, Glenda's not done. Glenda, go ahead.
still, I mean, I
Into the
understand.
mic.
that-
I can't.
I mean, I understand that they don't have a building, they don't have any of that stuff and everything like that, and they got to come back here in a year. And they have a whole year to get themselves together as far as, learning the city, getting everything they need to get. But is there no guarantee that they're not going to be here in a year? The building's not going to be done in a year? I mean, is it?
Yeah, there's a guarantee that, I mean, my background is real estate, so I can tell you there's a very real possibility the building would not be built within a year.
So their year is what, next October?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
does that, yeah, okay. So if it's October, November, December, what?
I'm just saying.
How? No, I get what you're saying, but then, okay. So the building's not done.
So, the point being.
I don't understand.
So,
But hold on.
What is the point? The building's not done.
Well, my point was, if a building's not done, how do you compare against what your goals were? And therefore, they're X percent of hiring and X, Y, and Z if they're not open.
Can't measure.
Correct.
measure it.
Exactly.
And therefore, the before they open, then they would have a difficult time a year from now getting past if they didn't meet all of those expectations. Because our expectation would be to be hiring
So
and
it's
to
like
have.
they're here
That's
to-
where
I
I'm
have-
sort of.
I have one
Ron,
question.
That's
can I-
it.
I hate to interject, but most of the applications will certainly not be up and running in a year.
that's correct.
Even if they have buildings.
Correct.
But isn't the return of a year from the date of issue of the license,
License.
not the approval of this board?
Yeah, my understanding is that they need to be up and running so
That's
that we
right.
could see if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Otherwise
Right. That you have to have a yardstick,
But
right.
it's not from, it wouldn't be from tonight.
Ron,
No.
That's the point. I mean, it appears that everyone.
So yeah, I just.
That's what I'm
just
saying.
having
And there's no
Building
guarantee
contract
that
and
it's
everything
not going to be done. I mean,
Okay, I'd like, I just want to interrupt for a second here. So, just to talk about site control. Do you have a bona fide,
Jeff, I think you're gonna
Well, I'll
have
have
to,
to
'cause
ask
I don't
the-
know how much, yeah.
Ask them anything.
Oh,
Can't ask them anything.
You want to come out of the work session so that I mean, you can still deliberate.
Hold on. Is everybody done working?
What do you mean, with the work session? Well, we want to dig a little bit deeper to ask Jeff.
Yeah, he has to close the work session to ask the question.
All right, good.
All right, is everybody, everybody finished? We're still up in the air how everybody's going to go on this.
We'll deliberate before the vote.
Okay.
Okay, so I vote going out of work session.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, so there was a question that I have regarding site control. Because this is incredibly important, because how solid your site control is and the timing of that building to get approved, if there are variances that are involved, or is it an as-of-right issue? Because if there's a variance, it's subject to being turned down.
Yeah.
So I'd like a little more clarification on A, do you have a lease in place and signed with a monetary deposit? B, for the construction of the building, is it as an as-of-right application to the planning board?
Sure. So a lease has been signed, a sizable security deposit has been placed, and there are no variances that need to be obtained for the site. It is conditionally approved. It is in the Highway Commercial District, and it is conditionally as of right.
Now, as of right for the cannabis business, I'm talking about the building itself.
But you,
He means, are there variances as far as dimensional or buffers or stuff like that?
so you have already.
You're building the building, right?
Architecturals, you.
Okay, wait, hold, should we swear him in?
We did.
Yeah.
Oh, you swear in, okay. I apologize, sir.
Martini Management. I was approved just before COVID for a 4,200 square foot building, 2 floors,
Okay,
11 parking spots.
okay,
Came back to the board 6 months ago. We adapted the building to be 3,000 square feet per floor with 18 parking spaces. We went for less variances the second time. The only variance we went for this time was a 6-foot side yard, which gave us 8 more spots on the right side of the property. The plans have been approved. City Hall has them already. Engineering was done. MUA was submitted already. Water lines was submitted already. Everything has been submitted through Beckmeyer Engineering.
okay, so just to clarify, you originally got an approval that's with a resolution that's legally binding with no lawsuits for 4,500.
100 square foot
Okay.
per floor.
You've now come back to amend that plan. It's been reviewed by all the agencies, but you
Approved. by
approved?
city. I got my variance approved. It was the memoranda, memorialized, excuse me.
Right.
It was memorialized and signed off by the board already.
Okay.
Melanti was the attorney. He's the zoning board attorney.
Right.
Melanti, I think.
Okay. So, just to clarify, you have an approved building as of right now,
Yes.
and you have a signed lease with this deposit. Okay,
Yes.
so there is site control.
And, excuse me, on the application, the 3D rendering, we put it on the banner, on the awning, Kush Club on it. And they all knew about it. I was right up front about it.
Right.
We're gonna have a cannabis store there. Everybody agreed it was 100% all across the board.
Okay, thank you very much. That clarifies that. So, we're not talking about something that can't get built or be operational.
Excuse me, and I am a general contractor. Built
Oh,
50
so-
houses in Jersey City in the last 25 years of my business.
So you're doing the whole build.
Do the whole site.
Oh wow.
Sewer, water,
Okay.
footing foundation.
Projection of build-out time?
It'll take us 6 months.
So what?
If you notice the property, my machines were there for the last
Okay.
6 months. We took them away. We're ready to go into the mountain. Not much more of the mountain we have to go into.
Right.
It's already been done already.
And it's a stick-built building, correct?
It's block.
Yeah. Oh, it's block.
Oh, so it's all.
Oh, it's even easier.
Okay.
I mean,
All right. Okay, thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Wow, that was helpful. Yes, you did, Miss Sally.
All right, so to bring it back, is there any other discussions before either a motion for or against the application?
So then, that frames it further, I think. Yeah, okay. I think I'm good. I'd like to make the motion.
Motion to do what?
To proceed to vote on this application.
To approve the
To
application.
approve the application.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Chairperson Bunny,
I'm voting now.
Vice Chair Kaplowitz,
As I said, I had plenty of reservations. But I'm giving you the opportunity to prove those reservations were wrong. Go out and really experience Jersey City and find nonprofits to help the community outside of Tunnelly Avenue. I vote yes.
Commissioner Sally Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloan,
I vote yes. Also.
Commissioner Flanagan.
Motion carries. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. Next is CCB 22-34, Community Wellness Center of New Jersey, LLC. Please step forward. Folks that are having a conversation in the back, if you could perhaps take it outside. Nice to see you again, Mr. McQueenie. If you'd be so kind. We need a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Denise is not going to knock it down. The one where you were pissed off?
Oh, yeah.
No, she's not. I asked
not?
her. No.
Here's a card.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, somebody was.
They're going to get some business.
Of course. And they're just getting paid. They're getting a lot of money.
Why does everybody? Somebody's pushing.
You know what?
Because they don't like ladies.
You know what I found out today? Dennis Febo said to me that she came to him to get a contract.
All right, so we're back on the record. Nice to see you, Mr. McQueen. If you'd please be so kind as to enter your appearance into the record.
Yeah, of course. Mike McQueenie from the law firm Foley Hoag, here on behalf of Community Wellness Center of New Jersey.
And thank you for your patience. I do see it is almost 9 o'clock. Why don't you briefly explain to the board what your client is seeking this evening and who the witnesses are?
Sure. And again, I'm cognizant of the fact that we're number 5 out of 5 on the agenda tonight. So I'm going to be brief with my...
Engaged.
Okay, of course. But I'll be brief with my introduction. Community Wellness Center of New Jersey is a provisionally approved alternative treatment center. This is a standalone medicinal dispensary from the 2019 RFA. So as you'll hear a lot about tonight, this has been many years in the making, and we're before the board here tonight seeking an approval for a Class 5 retail for when and if they go before the Cannabis Regulatory Commission for an expanded ATC app. Again, as of right now, Community Wellness Center is provisionally approved to be a medicinal dispensary. They're very proud that they were the highest scoring applicant in the 2019 round in the northern region, the second highest scoring applicant in the state. I'll have 3 witnesses here today, but if it's okay with the board, I'd like to proceed with my first witness.
Just to clarify, you're already approved for a medical dispensary?
Correct. So the provisional approval came from the Cannabis Regulatory Commission December 7th of 2021.
And this is we've had one other similar. So this is simply a courtesy. You don't have to, because you can open your medical dispensary regardless of what we think about it. You're just coming to us to ask for permission to also expand your business to retail sales. Okay.
Correct. There was originally a restriction on the medicinal license that said they had to be operational for 1 year prior to doing that. That restriction got lifted sometime early summer, and that's part of the reason we're here today.
Okay.
And as part of that, of the expansion to recreational, you'll have to get a resolution of support from
Correct.
the governing body. So the governing body won't do anything unless this board decides or vets you. So,
Correct.
all right, first witness is?
So my first witness is going to be Jonathan Bednarsh, owner and chairman of the board for Community Wellness Center.
Thank you. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address.
Jonathan Bednarsh, Bednarsh, 94 Ridge Road, Rumson, New Jersey.
Your witness.
Thank you. So, Jonathan, obviously, application was submitted several years ago, and we're here today. Please catch us up, give us a little bit of a background of Community Wellness Center, who it is, who the owners are, and then specifically also the property that the dispensary seeks to operate from.
Will do. Thank you, commissioners, for having us here tonight. So our company, Community Wellness Center, has been solely focused on New Jersey cannabis since 2018. Adam, who you'll hear from shortly, and I both came to this business from successful careers in other industries. I was an entrepreneur, founder of a real estate tech company many, many years ago. And Adam, my partner, has been a mentor and an investor in the finance industry for a whole bunch of years. We both grew up in New Jersey. We live in New Jersey. We've raised our families here in New Jersey. So Adam and I met 5 years ago. In fact, it was 5 years ago this weekend. And I know that because we met in Adam's backyard. He was having a birthday party for his daughter. Our daughters go to school together in the local, at the time it was middle school. And over some backyard burgers, we got to talking, and we learned that we were both at similar points in our careers. I was about to sell my company and kind of try and figure out what was next in my life. And Adam had just moved on from his last venture and was going on in his. Couple things we had in common, we realized we were both deeply looking at cannabis for our next step in our lives. And the reason for that was beyond the economic opportunity. We were at a point in our lives, and what struck us both was that we saw it as a generational opportunity to really give back and make an impact in our communities and do something that we could be proud of. We're both fathers of 2 kids. We wanted to show our families that it's more than just about making money, that you could do something and create something and impact people's lives in a positive way. And cannabis was and is unique in that regard. So right around that time, Governor Murphy got elected, legalizing cannabis in 100 days. So we know that it didn't quite happen. But what it did do is it showed us that New Jersey was on the path to being a leader on the East Coast for cannabis. So that this vision that Adam and I had of doing something meaningful in communities, we could actually do in our own backyard. Early on, we knew our focus, we wanted to be on the retail side, dealing with customers and patients. We didn't want to get involved in growing and all that stuff. So we spent a whole bunch of months, and this is back 2017, 18, going all over the state. We've met police chiefs and officials and community members, all kinds of people, trying to figure out where would be the right environment for our business. And from the very first meetings that we had here in Jersey City, we were inspired by the passion and the determination and really the organization of the people here making an impact that cared about Jersey City. And of course, the incredible diversity that's here. That isn't just, it's amazing for New Jersey, it's amazing for the whole country. And that's what we were about, and that's what we wanted to see and be the home for our business. So in addition, as we looked, we saw that's the same area with all this population had no medical dispensaries. So those patients that couldn't get access to medicine. And that was an issue for the state when they did their licensing, and that was an issue for us. So we decided we were going to move ahead here in Jersey City with our application. So in 2019, the state opened an RFA round. We decided we were going to make that application. We worked really hard here in Jersey City to find a location, which is a whole other story unto itself. But we did, and we built a very diverse team on our side that was almost entirely from New Jersey, because our goal was really to be from New Jersey, by New Jersey, and for New Jersey. And we've kept that going through this day. So we applied in 2019, back in August, and we waited, as Mike said, more than 2 years to find out where we stood. We were fortunate to win here in Jersey City. Along that long waiting period, which seemed like a lifetime, we were still very active here in Jersey City. Socially, restaurants, as we talked about, takeout orders to the kids all the time, philanthropically, because that's what was meaningful to us. And we didn't have to do it. In fact, in the 2019 medical round, you didn't get points for that. And this was long before Cannabis Commission and anything else. It was because that was the DNA of Adam and I and what we wanted to create for a business. So along the way, a bunch of stuff happened, right? Voters passed cannabis in the state. Jersey City passed an ordinance, created this board, and all these other rules and things that we've talked about. So right now we're operating on a dual track. We're getting ready to start a build out for our medical, to your point earlier, and we're close to that. And then we're in preparation for when we can do that expansion to adult use. And this meeting here is our first step in doing that.
So, Jonathan, if you would, tell me a little bit about the location, where the dispensary is, a little bit about the area. Tell us a little bit about that community that you're locating in.
Sure. So our dispensary will be located at 220 Broadway, which many of you probably know as the Wilson's Carpet Store with the dude out front.
Are you going to keep the Wilson?
He's going to stay. He's going to stay.
You're just going to make it a joint in his hands instead. It's like
I'm not going to say hadn't thought of that, but so we've signed a lease. We have site control for that the retail space as well as dedicated parking adjacent to it.
How big's the space?
4,500 square feet. Wilson's is 6,000. He's keeping a small portion. We're taking 4,500. Yeah.
Okay.
And so when we chose that space, that area, for a number of reasons. I wish Lorenzo was here tonight. The one meeting he's not here, but this is, it's more than 1,000 feet from a school. There's no children's facilities or drug treatment centers or anything else nearby. We're physically separated from any residential communities by the Skyway, divided 1 and 9 on one side, and then behind us is the New Jersey Transit tracks. So our neighbors, there's a gas station, a car wash, a self-service storage place, and like a truck shop. So
Yeah, you're not going to offend Lorenzo Richardson, so you're good.
So we're gonna. So we have all that, and being off of that road, there's already an infrastructure in place for traffic. So we're not going to overwhelm the area. We're not adding anything from a traffic perspective. The space also has 10. We have a lot of parking, so there's 10 shared spots right up front. We then have 16 dedicated spots adjacent, and then with an option to bring that to 32. Again, all along our premise was expanding access, and this opens up the whole west side for Jersey City for patients and for customers.
And Jonathan, have you met at all with members of local government, local law enforcement, anything like that?
We have. So we've met a number of times with our Ward C councilman, Rich Boggiano, and Peter Horton from his office. Also nearby, Ward B councilwoman, Mira Prince-Arai. And in our most recent meeting, they connected us with the JCPD West Division, where we met with Officer Castillo recently in Captain Joe's office. He wasn't there that day, but we've had ongoing dialogue about coordinating security and patrols and traffic. They're an unbelievably great resource. They're actually very enthusiastic about partnering with us and I think with
The
businesses.
police
like us.
department?
Yes, believe it or not.
I was going to say, Rich Boggiano is not
Oh,
enthusiastic
no.
about cannabis.
No. The police department, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And they've been a great resource and will continue to be as we coordinate getting closer to opening and then beyond.
When do you project opening your medical side?
Soon, I hope. We can't say for sure. There's a lot of regulatory things, but we're hoping sometime early to mid next year.
Okay.
And then, Jonathan, you mentioned for New Jersey, by New Jersey. What percentage of your ownership is New Jersey residents?
It's 98%.
And we've heard a lot here tonight, justifiably so, on community involvement, community impact. I know Adam is separately going to talk about the workforce and job creation plan, but in terms of the community impact, community involvement, can you give us a little bit of a sense of who community wellness has been to the Jersey City community to this point?
Yes. So, as I mentioned in our introduction, community impact has been at the core of Adam and I and our mission and why we got started in this business from the very beginning and why we chose Jersey City almost 5 years ago. So over the last 5 years, we've developed deep ties here in the city in a variety of ways. And so we've gotten involved with a number of programs that impact people's everyday lives, from local children through Team Walker and Tamika McReynolds, her teen literacy program, seniors with Angela Cares, veterans through 8 Flames of Hope, and cancer patients recovering through the Mohair program. And, our next 5 years, our plan is to continue to build on these relationships and do more as we grow. One of the things that we've learned as we've been active here in the last 5 years is that, we talk about the impact of the war on drugs on people, but it really goes beyond just those arrested or incarcerated, right, for a particular offense. There's entire multi-generational families that get impacted when someone goes to jail or gets taken out of the job market because of one of these convictions. So the consequences of those impact whole families. And so our community impact plan, we look at it holistically, the community holistically, and the impact on these families and how we can improve outcomes for these people across that spectrum. And so we focused on 3 particular areas: vocational training, philanthropy, and education and expungement. So I'm just going to touch on each briefly. You have MOUs and details and all that. I do want to just make one point before I dive in, is that, in a number of the meetings, and it came up again tonight, that, many of the same names of programs have come up by applicants through this process, driven by what they think the CCB might want to hear or what they're trying to accomplish. We got involved here in Jersey City 5 years ago. We started and have been doing it all the time since then. It's a good thing that maybe others have seen positives of programs that we have too. But we have been doing this. It's not just some pages that we sent over to you. So first, I just want to touch on the vocational training program. There's a lot of talk of all these great, exciting jobs, bud tenders and trimmers and growers and all these really cool things in cannabis. But it's important to keep in mind that there are going to be hundreds of cannabis facilities built here in New Jersey in the coming years, and tens of thousands across the whole country. And every single one of them will need the contribution from traditional trades: plumbing, electrical, HVAC, albeit they'll get tailored and specialized to this industry, but every one of them is going to need it. Doesn't matter what you're opening. So, we've chosen to partner with Jerry Walker on the Team Walker's new vocational training school that he's getting ready to open over on Pacific Ave. We've made an initial 3-year commitment to that program, which is both an ongoing financial commitment as well as to connect that program and our industry ecosystem of vendors and suppliers to help actively support employment opportunities within these trades in this new industry. The second main area that we're focusing on is our philanthropic efforts, like I mentioned. Again, both in terms of financial resources and time. We've created our own fund internally, which in our first year of operations will be $20,000, solely focused on organizations here in Jersey City. One of the first ones, and we signed an MOU, is Angela Cares, a group that we've been deeply involved with for a number of years, both personally and professionally. And as we become operational and we learn and work with the community, we're gonna grow that with a number of organizations as we learn. And the final part of this engagement plan kind of crosses over to workforce development, but we're working with the Hudson County Department of Housing and Community Reintegration, as well as the Hudson County Department of Family Services, to provide education and reentry opportunities and expungement support to minorities and disenfranchised populations here in Jersey City that have most been impacted by the war on drugs. We met last month with Frank Mazza, as well as Bob Knapp and Bob Martinovich, to frame out a relationship in which we're going to work with those departments to provide a pathway for job training and workforce opportunity to individuals transitioning from housing, instability, and incarceration. Our MOU is in final legal review in the Hudson County, in that department, but covers a few different elements. We're going to, those departments are going to introduce candidates to us that they believe could be suited for work in a cannabis dispensary. We'll interview those applicants and, when possible, match them to jobs that are available in our dispensary, but also introduce them to other business partners, again, in our ecosystem, because there's only so many jobs that we can provide, but there are many companies that we'll be dealing with. We're also going to partner with them on providing free expungement services, which will include clinics and education and help with document prep in that process.
Great, thank you. So before I call my next witness, I did just want to pause there and see if anyone had any other specific questions. Any members of the board had any specific questions for Jonathan?
Who's the 24-hour contact?
It's going to be myself.
You? Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, I just, so you mentioned a few people that you've been partnering with. So I'm just going to say this publicly. One is one of my employees, so I just need to know if you gave them money, because then I need to recuse myself. And so
who
I
is
just
that?
feel Tamika McReynolds, the teen mentoring program, is part of my work.
A number of years ago, we did.
I just need the
We
list.
contributed to her program.
Yeah, all right, so let me try to understand this. There is an employee of yours that received a donation from this
To do work,
entity?
yeah. And so I just need to know what date, because she didn't become my employee until later, but she brought that program to my office. And so, yeah.
Go ahead.
So
I believe it was 2018.
2018, early 2019 for the teen literacy program.
Yeah.
We were at the schools with Tamika.
Yeah.
Spending time with the students and helping her support buying books for the schools.
Yeah, so I think I should.
Was she your employee at
Yes,
that time?
yes.
All right. So,
Yes, I feel-
it is better to err on the side of caution because, yeah, sure, why not? You can either leave or have a seat. This is the last application. What?
No, we needed to vote on the.
Oh, sorry, we've got resolutions. We can't let you go. Sorry. Sorry. Thought you were getting a pass.
Linda's like, no, she can't.
Any other questions for Jonathan here? Anybody from the public? I see there was no public left for the most part.
I see Hugh, which means they signed a peace labor agreement.
I know.
That means you can go.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're good to go. I it's noted.
The chairperson testified for you, so you're good, yeah.
Do any of you live here in Jersey City? But in the state of New Jersey plus New Jersey, but no one
They
lives
also,
here.
on their application, it says the number of years they lived in Jersey City, so it's,
In New Jersey. New Jersey.
yeah.
New Jersey.
I'm sorry, in New Jersey, correct, in New Jersey.
Not in
Yeah.
Jersey City.
No, in New Jersey.
Okay.
I just have one question. In your application, you submitted your lease, but all the financial information said it's proprietary information not to be shared with anybody. You're the only application in all the ones I've seen that decided that they couldn't share that information with us.
So, Jeffrey, I had the discussion with Mr. McQueenie, and I think he agrees that perhaps that was a mistake. And if the board is inclined to see those numbers, the applicant will give you those numbers. We won't share it with the public. It's for your eyes only. If you or any member of the board wants to see them, I believe Mr. McQueenie may have them.
That's correct. That was an oversight. A lot of towns, a lot of communities don't treat such proprietary information as protected as Jersey City does. But after hearing from Mr. Mondello, I did write those numbers down, so I'm happy to supplement that with an unredacted copy, or I literally have
An email to
more than happy to.
Maynard, and he can send it. Thank you.
More
What
than
were
happy
you
to. We'll do that.
requesting, Jeff? I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
What was the request?
Oh, when it came to the
Financials.
financial aspect, it was all blanked out.
Okay.
Thank you.
But yeah, and we'll send that to Maynard as soon as we're able to,
Appreciate that.
before we leave tonight. Any other questions from the board for Jonathan?
You said that there was 100% Jersey City residents.
No, he said 98% of their owners live in New Jersey, and there's a 2% owner that lives in Colorado. But it's a 98% owned New Jersey business, and if you go to page, I don't know, it's got all of their owners and the number of years that they lived in New Jersey. Oh, wait, so I'm sorry, there's 2 1% owners that don't live in New Jersey, one in Colorado, one in Maryland.
Okay.
So why did you choose
Down
Jersey
here,
City?
This person here that lives on Randolph Avenue, is this an organization or is this Symbol Right? Is the person named Symbol Right?
Yes, that's her organization. Yes.
Oh, that's her business?
Yes.
Wow, that's right on my block. I don't even know it. I live on Randolph Avenue.
Any other questions from board members?
No.
Who's going to talk about security?
That would be my next
Okay,
witness,
yeah,
Angela.
let's move along.
Sure.
Good evening. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I
You
do.
can put your hand down. Please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
My name is Angela Leaney. That's Lean for never, EY. My address is 189 Marshall Corner, Woodsville Road, Pennington, with a P, New Jersey, 08534.
Your witness, sir.
Thank you. And Angela, I think as you heard tonight, goal here is not to get into the specifics on security as much as an overview. We obviously don't want to get into the proprietary areas of the security plan itself. But if you would, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your firm, Hogan Security Group, as well as the security plan for community wellness?
I'll just get the obvious thing out of the way. I was originally born in London. That's why I was not born in New Jersey. I'm an adoptive son of New Jersey. I don't know what the term is. When I fell in love with someone who is a New Jerseyan, so I moved to a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. I'd much rather be living in a city, but I need to talk about that with my husband. So I am the CEO and the majority owner of Hogan Security Group. We are a 40-year established family business. We're a small business. We are a certified minority-owned business, that's me, and a certified women-owned business. I took over majority ownership 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. The company has grown significantly since then. We are 17 people, and we're based in Mercer County. So I'm the CEO. I am acting as I'm one of the owners of this business. I'm also the security consultant at our company. Hogan Security Group is the security consultant to address your question. One other, I think, significant role that I have, which sort of touches also on something that Jonathan said. I'm sorry, am I talking okay into this
Yes.
microphone?
No, it's
Yeah.
perfect.
I didn't know how far I could bend it down. I'm also a volunteer on the advisory board of Mercer County Technical Schools, and I've been doing that for the last 6 years. So I'm on the general advisory board. I was recruited to the HVAC advisory board, even though I'm not in HVAC, and also the STEM program. I go there to speak to high schoolers within the technical schools to talk about career opportunities at our company. So that is, a selfish goal, right? We want to recruit locally, but also to advise kids there on how they can build careers, what they should be looking for in an employer, and how they can really advocate for themselves and set themselves up as potential future business owners, because most kids that I speak to are not going to go into security. But I want to give something to them that they can take to their trade, which could be any of the trades that Jonathan mentioned and more. So there are details. I know it's a public meeting and there's no one here, but there are.
Oh, but these now go on YouTube.
The details are in the plan.
They do?
But we are.
Yes, they are on YouTube.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, continue.
I didn't quite catch what you said.
Oh, I said these meetings live on YouTube now, so.
So I won't go into the details.
We just want to know if you have guards, armed or unarmed, who the 24-hour contact is, which he has already established.
The plan
How
is
many
to-
times you're checking IDs, very basic. And we don't want to know where the safe is. We certainly don't want the code. Nothing like that.
Not where you're placing your cameras or anything like
Yeah,
that?
nothing that would compromise your security.
Given that that is being taken care of, and the plan is there. We can elaborate at another point.
Right.
We'll have 2 guards, one of whom will be armed. The other one, at the moment, it's up in the air. I think we're going to be looking at traffic. We're going to be looking at sort of advice from the police department to sort of finesse that. But the current plan is at least one will be armed. We'll be open from 8 a.m. till 10, 7 days a week. And because we are a medical provider, the medical hours, the 14 medical hours a week will be included within that. I just thought I would mention that.
Oh, you only have to be open 14 hours?
Patient-only hours.
Oh,
have to be
okay, got
14
it,
hours
got
a
It's
week.
within that. It's not going to be sort of at midnight or anything like that. What else did I want to go into on security? I think
Checking
you mentioned
IDs,
checking.
yep.
We'll be checking IDs upon entry and then prior to any other transactions. Everything we do from a security perspective will be obviously following all of the cannabis control regulations, life safety regulations, fire code regulations. Hogan Security Group is a physical security company. So we do locks, we do electronic locks, we do surveillance. That's what we've been doing for 40 years. So we sort of start with the perimeter, that security, work our way into sort of the details on ID checks. Does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah.
Absolutely.
I know that there's...
We have you had to submit it to us, so we've reviewed it. We just have to ask the questions.
Right. I just know that I've heard a lot tonight of people. It sounds like you weren't getting necessarily your questions answered as directly as you wanted to. And I know that it's getting late, so I just wanted to make sure that I was getting to the
we got
point.
the entire report, which was a number of pages, but
Yes.
it's not very advisable telling people where your security is.
Right.
So with that, any questions for Ms. Leaney?
No.
Starts on page 16 of the safety and security, if you're...
Right.
All right, no questions from the board members, none from the public. Next witness.
So for my next witness, I'd like to call Adam Hershey.
Thank you.
You raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, sir.
Can you put your hand down? Please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address.
Adam Hershey, Hershey, 6 Pompano Road, Rumson, New Jersey, 07760.
You're a witness, Mr. McCreany.
Thank you. So Adam, I know we heard about the community impact plan earlier that Jonathan shared with the board. Can you dig in a little bit on the workforce development plan that Community Wellness has put together?
Sure, Mike, thanks. Good evening, and I'm really pleased to be here today. It's been a really long journey for us, and so we really do appreciate the time and energy that you guys are putting in here. And I am here to talk today about the Workforce Diversity, Inclusion, and Job Creation Plan that we've been working on for many years now, primarily based upon hiring, training, promoting a hardworking and educated employee base, reflecting the diverse cultural and ethnic composition here in Jersey City. We're going to create somewhere between 20 and 25 jobs, new jobs at our dispensary. And as you've already heard, there's bud tenders, there's general managers, there's security, and then there's all the other components that we've discussed earlier that John mentioned before. And all of these are going to be focused on hiring here in Jersey City with a target level of 70% diverse staff. Our hourly pay will start in the range of $17 to $19 an hour. With medical, health, and retirement benefits available to eligible employees. To find these employees, we're going to work with partners at the Hudson County departments that John had already mentioned, as well as Team Walker described a few minutes ago. We're going to advertise locally, participate in all the relevant job fairs, which are emerging here now in town. All of our customer-facing employees will participate in a 3-part cannabis training program detailing state and local regulations, standardized product and sales training, and continuing education as the market evolves. We've also created a comprehensive labor compliance plan to ensure we have a safe, properly structured work environment where our employees feel valued and are always growing. Lastly, if you're still here, we have signed a labor peace agreement with the UFCW Local 152 back in 2018, 2019. So with that being said, thank you very much.
How do you define qualified employees for health benefits?
Well, you have to be full-time.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Just full-time?
You have to work over 35 hours a week.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't worked for anybody in a long, long time.
Yeah,
so-
Jeff lives the life of leisure.
That's right.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Hershey? Hearing none, seeing none from the
You said
public?
that you worked with, you met with Frank Mazda.
Yes.
So, when it comes down to, working, doing the workforce, and you said you're gonna have 70% diverse, dealing with Team Walker, but you're not gonna talk to Frank Mazda?
He said he's going to work with the Hudson County programs that he mentioned and Team Walker. He said he's working with both.
As well, so I mean, we're going to be hiring in a number of ways. So those are two of them that will be looking for employees, as well as the local job fairs, our local advertising, our local network. So they all will contribute to this workforce that we're going to create.
I'm in the elevator with Frank almost every day, so.
That's my boss.
Frank Mazda?
Frank Mazda, my director.
Any other questions for Mr. Hershey? Hearing none, seeing none, no members of the public. Next witness.
That's all we have for witnesses today.
Any closing statement before the board takes it on?
I actually have a question.
Oh.
How are you setting up the medical and the retail? Is it all going to be one open space, or is it segregated?
It will be one. Sorry. It will be one space. We'll have two dedicated registers, points of sale for medical patients, and they'll have an express entry, so they don't have to wait in line if there's a line or anything like that.
Right.
So
That's
even
the
when
second
you
time we've heard that, yeah.
So when you do expand into recreational, you will keep these two cash registers perpetually.
Yeah, so under regulation, we're prohibited from having what you would call any physical separateness, right? No different doors. But what the system has in place, though, is called the VIP, the express line treatment, which is even if there was a line, even if there was people waiting in the waiting room, the patients cut that line. As Jonathan mentioned, there's the dedicated point of sale terminals. And again, if patient volume is higher than anticipated, we can always flex that to additional point of sale terminals. But then on top of that as well, there's going to be the 2 hours of dedicated patient only time that no adult use consumers can come and purchase during.
And your product line is going to be across the board? Flour, concentrates, edibles?
Yeah, what they allow us to sell is what we'll offer to our patients and customers.
Anything else? All right, back to the board. You want to go into work session, or is
We have
just a
to,
motion?
Hugh Giordano is waiting.
Oh, I thought you were going to accept the chair's testimony, but.
No, Hugh, go ahead.
Come on up, yeah.
No, listen, he stayed till the end. For those of us
did.
waiting, the Yankees still haven't started playing, so.
Oh. You remain sworn, Mr. Giordano.
Huh? Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Look. Yes.
You got to put that microphone on.
Go ahead. You got to turn the mic on.
Yeah, just talk out loud.
Yeah.
Just talk loud.
Pretty much know what you're going to
Say
say.
real quick, I know they signed a labor peace agreement, but 2019 was a different time. At that time, the law did not require a labor peace agreement. It was only bonus points. And they signed a labor peace agreement to get those bonus points because it was the right thing to do. On top of that, there was another thing in the law, another component, that if you worked with an advisor, a labor relations advisor, you got bonus points as well. And they used a current UFCW employer who runs retail locations in urban areas to make sure that when they came into Jersey City that they did what they were going to say that they were going to do, which was hire people from the community, specifically people of color and other minority groups. They also took in their part of their application our diversity plan as well, LGBTQ, immigrants. So this employer stepped up to the plate before it was kind of necessary under state law to do so. And that means a lot for the long-term relationship here in Jersey City. So I just wanted to kind of let that be known. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else you want to add, Mr. McCready, before it's back to the board?
We appreciate the board's consideration today, and thank you for the time, and certainly, given the hour, we appreciate everyone staying with us.
Thank you. Fine job as always. Back to the board for discussion, motion.
Motion to go into work.
Is it second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, back to the board for discussion.
I think that they're already going to be here.
Correct.
They are going to be doing medical.
Correct.
I don't think that it makes any sense for us to not grant them the ability to also do retail, especially considering that they have shared with us, even if they are approved for retail, they will still have the 2 dedicated cash registers to serving the medical community.
Correct.
So I think we should approve them.
I don't disagree. And I also think that they've been here since 2019, you said? 18. They know the community well. I think they're an application that should be approved.
Any other discussion by board members on this?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward, the location.
Yeah.
All right.
So a quick, I can't ask you a question, sorry.
Well, let's we'll leave the work session so you can ask this question.
So is that?
Motion to close the work session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, go ahead.
So just wondering.
Into the
so
mic,
The cannabis, the recreational, just 2 different types or the same product that is distributed medically?
It's mostly the same, but at this stage, it still has to be approved for each use. And we have to commit to having medical inventory for patients at all times. So if we are short on inventory, we can't sell to recreational customers. We have to sell them to adult use.
So labeling everything all still?
It has to,
Yeah.
primarily, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
All right, motion for or against?
I make a motion to approve.
Is there all right, roll call.
Chairperson Bunny,
Aye.
Vice Chair Kaplowitz,
Look forward to you opening up. I vote aye.
Commissioner Sally Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloan,
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, right into the resolutions very quickly.
Thank you, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
In
And
the
thanks
matter-
for being patient. Okay, go ahead, Ron.
Thank you. In the matter of Cannabis, came before the board. There was actually a motion to deny. I circulated, where's Stacy's back? Good.
Just remind everybody who.
Courtney can't vote on any of these. She
That's what I'm
wasn't
working
here.
on.
I was here for Cannabis, but
So
No,
I can tell
not-
you-
when they came back.
Correct.
So with respect to Cannabis, it's Stacy and Glenda. So I need a motion to memorialize, followed by a second.
So I'll motion to memorialize the Cannabis
All
denial.
right, all right, Stacy, how are you voting to memorialize? Yes or no?
Yes.
And Glenda? Yes. All right, that one carries. In the matter of Bud Space, everyone is eligible. Courtney wasn't here for that meeting, so I'd ask for a motion to memorialize.
Motion to memorialize.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Brittany?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Glenda? Motion carries. In the matter of Aunt Mary's, same situation. Is there a motion followed by?
Motion.
Second.
All right, Brittany?
Aye.
Jeffrey?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Glenda? Motion carries. In the matter of Cream Dispensary, same situation. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
Glenda can have the motion.
This is not that important, so don't worry. You can put it down, but I've got it.
Yeah.
Brittany?
Yes.
Jeff?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Glenda? Motion carries. With respect to artistic, you'll know that this was a motion
To deny.
deny.
Motion to memorialize.
Who can vote on that?
Everybody.
That's right. Is there a
Was the
second?
motion When we went off.
Aye. Second.
All right, so Brittany?
Aye.
Jeffrey?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Glenda? Motion carries. In the matter of Canna Boutique Dispensary,
That was one on Columbus.
that is 125 Columbus, and that was, yes, it was decided September 12th, and we're memorializing. So I need a motion followed by a second to memorialize.
Aye. Oh,
Second.
Got a motion from Glenda and a second by Jeffrey. Brittany?
Aye.
Jeffrey?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Glenda? Aye. Motion carries. And then finally, Idlex, this was a motion to deny.
Motion to memorialize.
right?
Second.
You can vote on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
All right, Brittany?
Aye.
Jeffrey?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Glenda, motion
All right,
carries.
motion to adjourn.
Thank you so much for your patience. That was a long night for you.
Hey,
That's 5
you can't
hours
come
in.
back for that.
That's a lot, right?
I can imagine.
Thank you. Maynard, thank you.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.